issue here. There we go. Alrighty. Give me a sec. I think we're just about ready. A lot of different things going on with this setup. We praise God that we can have this setup. It's taking me a minute to get used to. Prayerfully, everybody enjoyed early Rise of Bible Study session with Minister Tamara. Thankful for her stepping in for me and doing what she needed to do. We praise God for her. Hopefully you guys got a great word. All right, we get Facebook on and we can get started. All righty. All right, peace, peace, peace. Come on in, come on in. Okay, all right. Looking great, looking great. I'm out. All right, come on in, come on in. The water is fine. How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing well. We're some of the SOC gear with Brother Jermaine. If you want to go and support his product, yeah, not only this shirt, I'm going to stand up some for y'all on YouTube, right? But he has not only this gear, but he has other gear, of course, that he has. So please feel free if you want to reach out to him. You can do so at jermaineinsurance@gmail.com. We also had Brutus, Brother Charlie's stuff up here a little earlier if you saw when you first came in the background. Let's keep supporting each other at hashtag SOC. Also, those that are on Facebook as well, I always try to share. Those of you who are interested in hearing and supporting my spiritual father, I try to put his stuff up there ASAP. Every once in a while, I try to share on other platforms as well. So if you want to see some of the family and some of the people that the brother that I'm in, and the sister, him and his wife, who bless us and continue to do righteous things in their life and are a great example. We try to put their stuff up there as well. So prayerfully, you guys have been taking advantage and seeing some of that stuff. Alrighty, we're going to get yeah, amen. All right, we get Facebook up going. Cool. And then we will get started. But thank everybody for being on. Appreciate you. I think my voice is almost back. I had a little bit of problem with my voice for a few days, but I think we're almost back. Definitely feeling better. Getting a little bit of rest. We've been on all the traveling and stuff like lately. So we're finally going to be able to kind of have a little bit of stuff again from one place, allow our bodies to rest and get used to some things, and then we'll be back on track. Alrighty, looks like we're going. Praise Yah. Alrighty. Alright, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer. And it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osaya, Enikatuya, Ohio. I see you. Manut, Wagwan, Aloha, Ciao, Habarigani, Kamsa, Kamsamida, Grand Rising, Boker Tov, Boker Tab, Jambo, Mimini Kofi, Nina Faraku, Katana Nawewe, Akwaba, Madase, Etese, Bakwa Tav, Barakala Chamichava, Shalamala Chamichava, at night, Kofi Kohelit, at Servant to Christ, Mashalom Hey. Hello, everybody, I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We appreciate you all for being on. Thank you again. Thank you for a little bit of patience as we're getting used to kind of a sort of the old setup, but a new setup at the same time. And we appreciate you. Thank you for your prayers. We've been back in town now for a couple of days and getting used to, things, the swing of things and everything back on Sunday evening. And, just been taking things one day at a time. Or I'm sorry, Saturday evening, one of them. we've been all over the place so much. But appreciate you guys. Thank you for spending some time with us again. As always, we're going to get ready to do our Bible pledge, and we're going to jump right into today's topic, a topic that I believe is going to be a blessing to you all, and prayerfully you get something out of it. So thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you. And we're thankful and grateful for everybody spending some time with us on today. Alrighty. So we're going to continue where Yah has us and where Yah has blessed us. And we're going to give an excellent word led by Ravach HaKodash. If you are able to stand or reverence the word of Yah in any kind of way with us, including if you just, even on the road, being quiet, on your job, be careful, of course, and everything, but we appreciate you. Before we get ready with our Bible pledge, let's say hello, everybody, on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We appreciate your presence, and we're thankful and grateful for you all. Let's see. Let's say hello, everybody. How you doing, Brother Aaron? How you doing, Sister Renee? How you doing, Brother Joseph, Sister Danielle, or Brother Yosef? Excuse me. How you doing, Minister Shantae? How you doing, Love Me Infinitely, Sister Nadine, Well, Mad Bear, Etherin, Brother Thomas, not to be confused with Big Brother Thomas. Two Thomas is on here. How you doing? Make a distinction for you. How you doing, Bruda? Brother Charlie. There he is. Big Brother Thomas. There he is. I'm trying to catch everybody. Sister Sylvia. Well, let me finish up with this real quick. Sorry about that. Hola, ¿cómo está? Mi hermana Sherry. Let's see. Mike and Aoife, mi hermana Yuselis is aquí. ¿Cómo está? Let's see, Sister Nadine. Let's see, Baka. Was it Bob? You said Bob. Okay, I don't know if that's your name or if you were saying something else. How you doing, Chantel? Everybody, come on in. How you doing, Lance? How you doing, Springtime? Joy Boy, Minister Tamara, thank you again to Minister Tamara for giving the righteous word and even kind of taking over a little bit for us this rising. I was not able to attend in full. I was able to start, but I had some things to do, take care of early this rising. So we're thankful and grateful for her being on time and being obedient. How you doing, Sister Tanisha? Everybody, Lottie, everybody, come on in. Jonah Key, Raj, Yasper, everybody. Sister Monica. If I miss your name on any of the platforms, charge it to my head, not to my heart. We appreciate you all for being on with us. And thank you very much. We're actually very excited. We're thankful and grateful. The word of Yah went really well yesterday as far as we were even able to reach a lot of people in different platforms than we normally do. So we praise Yah for that. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being obedient. I know they've been making it rough for us to be found, but you guys sharing the live, being obedient, just showing up, likes, shares, all that stuff. It helps us, and so we thank you. Even besides other things, of course, we know you do for the kingdom and do for each other. I just want to say thank you. I noticed yesterday I was just looking up some stuff, and I was like, oh wow, especially on YouTube. I was like, oh, I didn't even know we had that many people. So we praise Yah for you guys, and thank you for your support of SOC, and even of your pastor, or even if your friend, if I'm not your pastor, whatever the case might be. We thank you so much for your encouragement and keeping us going and letting us know that we do, it reaches people. How you doing, Trigger? How you doing, Sunflower? Big Roy, Pretty Janae, Deborah, if I missed you earlier, not to be confused with Sister Deborah who's normally on. How you doing, Brother Emmanuel? I see you. Everybody, live down, everybody, come on in. If I miss you once again on any of these platforms, charge it to my head, not to my heart. We really, really do appreciate you. Amen. How you doing, Sister Helen? Everybody, Pearl, Minister Rail. All right, we're going to get ready to do our Bible pledge. If I miss your name, please forgive me. I'm excited about all of you coming in here. How you doing, Warren? Lottie, Dottie, everybody. Come on. All right. Let's go ahead and do our Bible pledge real quick. There is Sister Deborah Pettis. Thank you. So 2 Deborahs on today. We appreciate both of you. All right, here we go. This is our Bible pledge. We get ready for this. You said you appreciate the sharing of 1898 in Wilmington. Amen. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There we go. All right. Today's going to be something that's going to be somewhat controversial, but if we be honest, it's something that we should be talking about quite a bit. So let's go ahead and get into today's message. And once again, we praise Yah for everybody being on with us on today. All right. Having some issues here. Okay. All right. I'm trying to get this set up together best I can. All right, this might be the best we got. All right. So anyways, I'll go ahead and leave everything the way it is. Thank you once again for being on. Let's get into this. Our Bible pledge is as follows. Bible pledge goes like this. This is my Bible. This is my sword. In this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Hashem Yechavach. Aman, which is in Yahweh's name. Amen. Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, once again for being on. We're not really going to break down scripture as much, at least in the beginning today. We're just going to talk about something in scripture real quick, and then we're going to talk about a very important subject matter that I believe will bless you all. And we just read this as a matter of fact, but we'll go back into the scripture again. We're going to Luke chapter 14. Luke chapter 14 and verse 28 through 30. Might not even read all of that, to be honest with you, but let's at least go to Luke chapter 14, and let's go to starting at verse 28. That might be all we go through is just Luke chapter 14, starting at verse 28. Once you have to say amen, say I got it, say I'm with you. Make sure we read it together. And we just did read this, but we're going to look at this in a different light today. Praise God. Once again, Luke chapter 14, we're going to start at verse 28. I see an amen. All righty. Once you have it, say amen. I got it. I'm with you. Just want to make sure we're together. See another amen. All right. Luke chapter 14, verse 28. All right. It reads as follows. It says, "For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first, and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" Read that again, because that's the focal verse right there, right? "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sit not down first, and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" Or in other words, which of you, if you're going to build a tower, right, if you decided you want to build a tower, will not first sit down and make sure you consider the cost, see if you can afford it, right? Whether you actually can finish it or not. Verse 29, "Lest haply, after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him." And we'll just stop there. We just read Luke chapter 14, verse 28 and 29. May you have a blessing to the readers, hearers, and especially the doers of this most holy word. How you doing, Wavy? Thanks for being on. Today, we're going to talk about reversing the bag. Today, we're going to talk about what? Reversing the bag. How you doing, Sister Kimberly? Today, we're going to talk about what? Reversing the bag. And real quick, before we get into this, Sister Sheila, if I didn't say hello earlier, please forgive me. Before we get into this, as a reminder, if we haven't set up a date, if you have a teenager and we haven't set up a date to make sure that we can talk one-on-one with your teen, well, with the parent involved, set up a time, please make sure that we do so. We want to make sure that we talk to the teens, talk to them on their level, and also get ready for the teens to be able to do their thing, just like we have Shabbat school for the children and things of that nature. And also it'll be an opportunity for your teenagers to be directly just ask questions right away, fire away, whatever hard questions, tough questions, if they agree with stuff, disagree with things, whatever the case might be. All right, just kind of put that out there. Also, as a reminder, tomorrow evening is the 14th day of the second month. That means that we have the makeup Passover. And some people say, what is the makeup Passover? It's in scripture. We showed it to you, right? We have a second scripture or second Passover day. This on the 14th day of the second day. So we have the Passover, right? Pasachi, which is the 14th day of the first month. Rosh Chodesh Nisan. We did that one on April 22nd, right? And then the Bible declares that if somebody cannot make it for some reason, whether they're unclean or whatever the case might be, then they are allowed to be able to have a second Passover. We will do this during our regular live session tomorrow evening. We will not be on Kofi_42. We will be on the original Kofi_40 channel. If you don't know about that on TikTok, on YouTube, it's going to be the same. If you don't know about that on TikTok, all you have to do is just click on, just look for hashtag Find Kofi. There's a few things that will show up, or look for Kofi_40. There's several channels, and look for the one that doesn't have a number next to it. Right, this is Kofi_43. You'll see like Kofi_44. I think they call it 43. You'll find Kofi_42. Right, but look for the one that has no number next to it. That's what will be tomorrow, specifically for Passover. Or join us on YouTube. We will not be doing a huge, long, drawn-out thing, but we will at least make sure that people can kind of go through the Passover experience. If you don't have your items as of yet, usually we would already have this stuff picked out and everything. But since it's a makeup, feel free. Try to get your lamb. Be prepared to, roast it, or be prepared to, cook it through all the way through. No seasoning on it. bitter herbs. If you want to know what those bitter herbs are, we actually have some of those in our videos on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. You can look up what those are, right? Or reach out to us and ask us. Somebody can give you the directions. And also, too, if you want matzah bread or any kind of unleavened bread, any bread without leaven in it, even if you prepare it yourself, that's fine. Just make sure you have unleavened bread, and then, of course, wine. Or if you're not going to use wine, at least have some kind of juice. Okay? Those are the things that we need for tomorrow. We will go through and basically do the, showing the meal. We'll make sure that we go through a message, and then, of course, we'll make sure that we do our bread and our wine. So even if you went over Passover with us before, feel free to come back again tomorrow. It'll be on the original Kofi Ofori channel, on TikTok, on YouTube. It'll be on this channel, and it'll be at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern New York time, our regular live evening session time tomorrow. Not tonight, but tomorrow, okay? Just as a reminder, okay? And then also don't forget, coming up this Thursday, we will have Q&A. So starting tomorrow evening after Passover, after we finish that makeup Passover, you should see popping up on social media places that you can start to put your questions in, so that about 7 a.m. on Thursday, I can start looking through them to see, to make sure we're ready to answer them. And then prayerfully, if I can get my other device on track by then, we'll be able to answer your phone calls as we have been doing in times past. Amen. That also means tomorrow on Thursday, we will go a little longer. So instead of like 11 that we've been faithful to and getting off about 11, we'll make sure that we get off maybe about 11:30-ish, 11:45-ish. We won't push too much past that on Thursday. Okay? So so just look for that. That's the order. So today, normal day, Patreon, of course, be looking for stuff. We try to post stuff here and there throughout TikTok. But tomorrow, live session, everything the same until the evening is makeup Passover. Wednesday will be my day off. Thursday will be Q&A. And on Tuesday evening, tomorrow evening after Passover, start looking around on different platforms, and you'll start seeing where you can put questions, comments, concerns. And I will start looking them up about 7 a.m., probably a little earlier, but about 7 a.m. So if I don't see it by 7 a.m. on Thursday, then just know that it wasn't presented. So look, all the places that we can post, you can put questions or whatever. It'll be up there for you. If you're on YouTube, I'll try to put a video together, and I'll try to put something in the community. On the YouTube channel, there's something called community. So when you look on the YouTube channel, when you come on, you see videos, or you'll see like shorts, videos, live. I forget, there's something else that they have, and then you'll see at the end of it, community. So shift over to where it says community, you'll see it posted there, and shift over to where it says videos, you'll see it posted there. Amen? I just want to make that clear. All right. So we'll say that at the end. We'll try to make sure we announce it again tomorrow. All right. So we talked about Luke chapter 14, verses 28 and 29. That was our focus scriptures for today. Really, verse 28 more than anything else. And how's everybody doing once again? How you doing, Minister Samantha Ray, Auntie Marion, Minister Tracy? I see you on. All right. So today we're talking about reversing the bag. Reversing the bag. Now, when people say get the bag, right? People say get the bag. Get the bag is basically gotten to get the money. Think about Scrooge McDuck, with the dollar, with the big bags. Or think about Bugs Bunny, right, with a big dollar bag. Or think about any of these people that you saw in cartoons, where if you're going to be rich, you're supposed to get the bag. Think about all these things that we used to see growing up, and people would go in and they try to rob the bank. And when you rob the bank, you have what? You have, they come out with the old school days of the cow hands. Or the cowboys even, they come out and they have these huge bags, right? Even today, sometimes we imagine if somebody's going to do a bank heist, they're going to have huge bags, even though most banks don't even really carry money like that, but that's what we imagine, right? Or even, what was it, the Batman movie? One of the Batman movies, Batman 2, the one with Joker, not the latest Batman, the Batman, but the one before the Dark Knight series or whatever that was, right? And Heath Ledger played the Joker, and you see that they're getting all these bags, right? Where you sit, and then of course, the colloquialisms in the hip hop game. So, man, you got to get the bag. It's all about the bag. Sis, don't get with no man if he ain't got the bag. Bruh, make sure you got the bag. That's all that she gonna respect, right? This is kind of what we hear over and over again. But the problem is that we've reversed the bag. And I'm gonna talk to us today. I'm gonna talk to our diaspora and a lot of people who are dealing with a certain class of behavior, thought process concerning finances and money and stuff. And as we get closer to Shabbats, or get closer to Shavuot, or get closer to Pentecost, whichever dialect or term you would like to call it. We know that during Pentecost, one of the biggest things we're supposed to do is that's our harvest day. Anything that God has given us and anything that's at the peak of our bounty, right? That we're seeing at the peak of like summertime, spring coming to summer and being like, okay, cool. This is like the height of bounty. Everything's flowing, right? And during that time, we take different things that God has given us and we wave it as an offering. And we praise God, we give him the first fruits, and we wave it. And so as we get closer to this, it would behoove us to make sure that that which we're going to give unto him, I teach this all the time, if we're going to teach you like how that tithing is necessary and important, which it is, we should also make sure that we teach you, that you can live off 10%. And we should also make sure that we give biblical principles to help to take care of their families financially. We shouldn't have it to where somebody's tithing and they're about to get kicked out. And that's a regular thing. It's one thing if we just find out that somebody's going through some financial strife. It's another thing that we haven't helped anybody and taught anybody. And this is something that's missing a lot. We go over this somewhat often, probably not even often enough. I don't like to be honest, in my flesh, I don't like to talk about this too much because people think that we're money hungry. But I'm not talking about what you give, even though that's part of it. Right? We're going to talk about tithe and offering when we're talking about this financial stuff. But let's be honest. It's not just about you giving only. You give in order to receive. The word is receive. You sieve and then receive. Or you've sieved before because you've given and therefore you're used to receiving again and again. Right? How you doing, Naturel? And so when we speak on these items today, when we speak on what Yah would like us to have what his word says, it's important that when we do things, we consider the cost. Now, why am I talking about reversing the bag? Where we're chasing the bag, and when I say chasing the bag, I'm not just talking about money bags only, this and that. See, one of the things that we must talk about is that when we are chasing the bag, we chase bags that people think are worth something, right? We've reversed the way that we should think. We need to reverse this bag. What do I mean? Let's say, sisters, and forgive me, sisters, I'm just using you as an example today because this is something that you do more. Well, actually, now I guess brothers do it too because they get these same kind of bags just for men or whatever, right? And how you doing, Dwayne? How you doing, Minister Jenny? How you doing, Collins? Thank you for the compliment, right? But as people reverse, as we're not, and how you doing, Sister Nadine? I see you going back and forth. And moderators, thank you so much. I'm gonna make one more moderator. Why not? Just in case they can help. Don't worry about the person that I'm making you. Let me see. Okay. So, sorry. I know we had issues yesterday, so I'm just looking at the moderators and seeing what we got. Okay. Because we did have some issues on YouTube yesterday. Praise God. Thank you guys. So when I say reversing the bag, think about this. A lot of people have decided we live in a society today. Yeah, I see you. That's what I was saying. Thank you, Sister Nadine, for coming over. And how you doing, Money Green? So a lot of people, what happens in society, a lot of what happens with us is we have been taught to make sure we look rich, but we're not rich. To get a job, I don't need one. I don't have to have a 9 to 5 because I've learned how to manage finance. Unfortunately, you might still have to do that. Praying that you do well. Keep on doing well, and maybe you'll get to a point where you don't have to. Right? I'm glad. See, this is why we need moderators, right? All right. But anyways, thank you for proving my point about the moderators. Appreciate you, and much love to you, and hopefully you go on your whatever journey you're on. How you doing, Sister Shima? But once again, a lot of people have this weird thing. Like the person just came in and was like, hey, go get a job. Get a job. Getting the job means that you're not making passive income. Your goal should be passive income. That's the stuff that's not taxed. Right? But you've been taught to reverse it. But anyways, let me help you. Once again, a lot of people think that it's great to look rich but not be rich. And I'm not even talking about riches as far as you got to have thousands, or millions, making 600,000 a year or something like that. I'm talking about people don't even comprehend what money is. But let's just go to a simple thing real quick, if I may, before we go to the person, that the place where this person wants us to go. Let's be obedient. So But I'm talking about these riches, so to speak, right? The Bible even says you think you are poor, but really you are rich. Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. And a lot of it has to do with what? You don't realize who you are, and you don't recognize what you're supposed to do as a community, as a culture, as a kingdom, financially even. So we have become a people that are so concerned about what looks rich that once again we cannot be rich. For example, we have become a community that loves to make sure that we have Gucci bags that are worth $1,000, $2,000. You'll carry a $2,000 bag, but you can't. But you don't even have $100 inside of it. Right? We reversed the bag. We need to reverse it back. Right? How you doing, Sister Dawn? See, we have become a people who will say, "Hey, man, I need to make sure I got the $350 Jordans, the cheap Jones, right? Let me get the $350 Jordans. Matter of fact, let me go to Rent-A-Center. Now this is a new thing. Let me go to Rent-A-Center and see if I can buy some Jordans in 30 days for the retail price, which is going to be way more than what it is for $600, so I can rock the J's. But if I can't, I'll just keep on renting to own, and if I can't own it, I'll try to give it back. And if I don't give it back in the proper way, then I got to pay a fee. Because the shoes, you'll rock these shoes paying $20 a week for some J's, right? Rather than make sure you got $20 in your pocket and just wear some slides, if necessary, or wear whatever you feel like wearing. Matter of fact, could make your own shoes. Matter of fact, could go ahead and just, if you want to pay a whole lot of money for stuff. We almost did this before, but I was like, I don't want to really overcharge for shoes and stuff. But I was like, if y'all overcharging for shoes, we can just give you $50 shoes with SOC on the side, and at least it'll be something that leads you to community, puts money in your community, right? And it will only be 50 because I'm not making the shoes. Somebody else would make the shoes. We would just make the design, right? And I'm not saying we're gonna do that, but some of you recall we were talking about that this is years ago. This is like 3 years ago, probably now 4 years ago, right? But it's like if you're gonna do that, you might as well make your own, right? Or just get some shoes and put your name on it. Why you gotta wear Nike on it? If your name is Jackson, just get some Jacksons. People say, "What Jacksons? What are those?" You say, "My name is Jackson." If it's that big a deal, you have to have a name on the shoe. You might as well put your name on it, right? If it's that big a deal, you got to pay that much money. Why not put your name on it, right? But we will buy the $2,000 bag and not be able to put 100 in it. So that means that we'll save and scrimp and save and do all this and scratch and claw our way to the bag. Matter of fact, the sister will say, "I didn't need a man to buy me the Gucci bag. I stood on business. I bought a $2,000 bag." But can you pay your rent? Or we become people that go, "Man, you know what? I can go ahead and I can afford, I can go ahead and I can afford to make sure that I had this car payment." Your car payment, some of your car payments are more than your rent. Well, nowadays it can't be like that anymore. But I know there was a day where I used to see people who had roommates, or there were people who were paying, in some places, paying $800 a month for rent, and your car was $900, and the car looked great. And they had to wash. They had to wash, and the rims was clean, and they were detailing it, getting it detailed. $250, $300 a pop, once every other week, to make sure that their car was the greatest looking car. It smelled great on the inside out, but you can't. But you might as well live in it then. It doesn't make sense that if you're going to keep renting, right? That you rent, you pay more to rent out an apartment or rent out the car that you are in from time to time than to rent out the house that you're going to be in sometimes 24 hours. But we've reversed the bag. We have not considered the cost. So we are people that say it doesn't make sense to give a tribute, which we automatically just say a tithe or a tenth, right? We have become people that say it's foolish to give to a tribute, which, by the way, the tribute is not used correctly, because even the churches and the camps and our spiritual guides and all this stuff and all these communities, they don't comprehend money, if we just be honest. This is why your churches use tithes to keep buildings up, and your tithe was never supposed to, by law, by culture, was never supposed to pay for the building. You go look it up in scripture. Your tithe is brought into a storehouse, a storage facility. And it wasn't just finances. Tithe is finances, sure, but your food. We're supposed to make sure there's food. We're supposed to make sure there's clothing. We're supposed to make sure that people have basic necessities. And there's supposed to be a surplus. So, right, a lot of people just go, give me the surplus, give me the surplus. It's supposed to be a surplus. What we as a community are not establishing in our everyday by doing business with each other and being obedient and disciplined in finances every day, or whatever resources we're talking about, whatever we don't have, or if there's somebody that's poor, or if there's somebody who's an orphan, or if there's somebody who's a stranger, or if there's a Levite who's not supposed to work in the field, or if there's a stranger who's coming in as a foreigner and needs to learn how to get acclimated to this as they're being grafted in, right? And if families aren't in a position to help them first, then of course, how you doing, T? Then of course, we should go into the surplus. But this is the problem, and we, even if I'll be honest, have a little bit of problem with this, but here's the problem. The problem is that people are not disciplined enough to not touch the surplus. So even if you're tithing, you're not using the surplus correctly. Your surplus is not to keep the lights on in the building. Your surplus is, do we have enough to eat? And we've reversed the bag. So you get in the bag, you're asking people to make the bag, give you their bag, and even when they're faithful with giving you some of the bag, we're still not doing what we're supposed to do with the bag. Right? How you doing, Dennis? How you doing, Karen? Amen, Bruda. Right? Like so people are actually, even when they're doing what they're supposed to do, we're not aware of how stuff functions. We have reversed it. We have a shiny building, but people don't eat. Make it make sense, right? Might as well. I see you, Jonathan. Right? How you doing, KB? How you doing, Dennis McZeal? Got a few Dennises on today, right? So just think about it. We have become a society because we're looking at a social media society, and even before it was social media, for real, let's be honest. In the 80s, we was doing this. In the 70s, we were doing this, right? It was okay to have those nice bell bottoms. You know, don't forget, yeah, I recall, I wore some of them. I recall the bell bottoms. Now, you had the bell bottoms on. You had the nice shoes on. Matter of fact, you had the nice church outfit. Your church outfit was clean and everything. Everybody had to come to church looking clean, but people went home and they couldn't feed their families. Right? We could have a meet, like real talk. SOC, we could have a meetup anywhere. We could go outside. We can go outside under. We could get a tent. Matter of fact, that's what when we do. We're not sure if we're going to do a revival this year or not. But if we do a revival, all we need is a tent. You know, Sister Sage, all we need is a tent. Worship is worship. If we can't plug anything in, people can still sing and clap their hands and stomp their feet. How you doing, Savannah? Right? All we need but we've reversed the bag. We think that worship isn't righteous unless it's in a cathedral. But why is it that worship in our mind isn't righteous unless it's in the cathedral? Because it has to what? It has to show that we're rich. We can't just be rich. It has to show that we're rich. We gotta have a Gucci. We have a Gucci building with maybe a $20 worship, rather than have a Gucci worship, right, in a $20 building. If we even need the building. Are you with me to this rising, right? Are you seeing what I'm saying? We got to reverse the bag. We have to consider the cost. Have we considered the cost of building a community, or have we only thought about how much it costs to make it look like our community is doing something valid for a few hours? Right? How you doing, Bradley? We've been taught to be out of pocket. Come on, there you go, Brother Vincent. How you doing, right? Isn't everything we do worship? It should be. How you doing, Lone Wolf? Thanks for being part of the community. Everything we should be doing is worship. Everything should be worship. Everything should be appreciation, right? Worship Him in everything. Matter of fact, praise, right? They praise me with their lips, and they honor me with their mouths, with their love, their passion, their heart is far from me. We say Yah judges the heart. He reads the heart, but He says your heart is far. We think He only judges the lips. He says it's great that you praise me with lips and you honor me with your mouth. I said you praise. Yes, you praise with your lips. Yes, you honor me with your butt. Butt means cancel that out. But your heart is far away. This is why Yechashua tells the man who finally gets it when he gives him the law. And he says, love, hear, O Israel, Yechava Elohim, Yechava Elohim Allah, for he is one, and you must achava him, you must love him with all your love, with all your heart, and all your nachivas, all your soul, and all your mind, and all your strength, right? The second like it is this, to love your neighbor as you love yourself, right? On these two, all the other commandments are there. And the man says, the man who challenged him says, well said, teacher. Well said, Rabbi. Why? Or Marach. Why is that well said? Well said, because the love of Elohim with all the heart, the soul, the mind, and strength, the love your neighbors yourself, is greater than all burnt offerings and sacrifice. And then when he gets that, he says, cool, but now you are not far from the kingdom of heaven. People will go, man, if you do, don't church folk teach that? Hey, if we just do that, everything's great. But he said, cool, now that you got that, you're not there. You're not far from it now. You've gotten closer, but you're still not far. Right? That means, right, so your heart's not there yet. But if you can recognize that at least you're getting closer, at least you're getting into proximity or closer proximity as to where I am. Right? How you doing, Crystal? So yes, he judges the heart, the lab, and the word heart, once again in Hebrew, or lev, even in modern Hebrew, but lab in Paleo Hebrew, in our Hebrew would be what? Would be passion. He judges your passion. How you doing, broskies? He judges what you're passionate about. So you have to ask yourself, and all these different things, he even says, we can tell where your heart is. Why? Because we can tell where your treasure is. Your heart is where your treasure is. What is it that you treasure? If I were to break down, if we were to take an itemized receipt of what you're going to treasure today, if we're going to take an itemized receipt of what you do when you go on the road, if we take an itemized receipt of what you spend money on, we'd be able to see your passions. Now, I don't need you to give it to me. It's not my business here. I'm just saying if we did, or let's say if you took self-accountability. How you doing, Shabbos? And if you decided to go through, what is it that I do? Not just even itemize your finances. What if you were to itemize your day? What if you were to go through your day? By the way, those of you who are even into stuff like the 42 Confessions of Ma'at and all that stuff, even that says you're supposed to say the 42 confessions to start your day. Then you're supposed to live out your day trying to accomplish what you've confessed, what you have the same logic of. And then at the end of the day, you say them out loud again and go through your day and say, did I keep all 42? For those who will be so quick to talk about Kemet and this and that, blah, blah, okay, well then live by it, right? Stop telling me about it. Stop telling me that's your ancestry. Stop telling me this and that. By the way, it's mine too. But at the end of the day, stop telling me about it if you won't even live it. That's one of the problems that we have as far as, once again, you think you are poor, but really you are rich. See, watch this. It's easier for people to think poor. Well, put it like this. It's actually harder to be poor, but people think poor when really they are rich. Right? Do you notice? I'm not going to say that rich people never had a Gucci bag, but rich people don't care if you know they got a Gucci bag. Right? Rich people don't really care if you got a Gucci bag. You think they out there? Look, even though you might not like the names I'm going to name, look at how Mark Zuckerberg dresses. Right now, go ahead if you want to leave the line and then come back. But go look at a picture, look up Mark Zuckerberg and see how many times he's in a suit and tie. Maybe when he's before Congress. Maybe if he's showing up to an event where it's supposed to be black tie. But he's not worried about that because that's not where his strength comes from. His money ain't got nothing to do with what he wears. Look at Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know if I'm saying that name right, but y'all know who I'm saying. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And even though he went bankrupt, and people don't know that, but still. Right? Well, if you say you're like a 60-year-old grandpa at the zoo, hey. But at the end of the day, what I'm telling you is he a billionaire, 60-year-old grandpa at the zoo. Right? And so he don't care. And by the way, even if you want to say that, yeah, when people get older, they stop worrying about what you think as much. Because why would they? Why should they? Why would they care like that? It's not important to make sure that you think that they got the flyest gear on. They just wear what they wear. And if it's fly, it's fly. If it's not, hey, it's fly because they wear it. That's that. You know, that when you're kingdom, when you're a king, when you're royalty, you don't worry about what people around you are doing whatever. Like, you have to put on whatever you put on becomes the only reason why a king worries about what the subjects think about what he wears, at least a true king, right, a true chief, is because he wants to make sure that they're wearing culture and wear something that's lawful and wear something that makes the country look righteous, because he knows that people will wear what he wears. Other than that, though, he's not trying to wear something to impress you. If anything, he's trying to wear something that teaches you, right? You might not know this because we don't think about royalty. We don't think about ourselves as royalty, right? You know, we don't think about ourselves as actually being people that are worthy. We just kind of do whatever, you know. So here you is, here it is. You live poor, right? That's why, once again, the first thing that somebody says, I start talking. Somebody says, "Go get a job." For what? I don't need one. And I do something that's greater than the job. I'm in my work. Your work carries more weight than your job. See, your family is your work. See, when you get words together, etymology together, you start living properly. Why would I worry about a job more than our work? The problem is your family is being worked over by somebody else because you're so busy at your job. Right? You hear what I'm saying? Like, your family getting worked over at school because your job got you so worried about stuff that you don't even do nothing. You don't check to see what the teachers are teaching. You don't check to see what their little friends are saying. You don't have time for it because you're so stuck in a system that says be enslaved to that. Make sure that you're more worried about that. Some of you are more worried about showing up somewhere by 9 o'clock today than you are about making sure that you've actually taken time to pray, to fast, to work out, to love yourself, to ask yourself questions about your day, to check in with your spouse. You said no job equals no cash equals no family. Okay, well, if that's the case, I'm married with children and I'm doing what I do freely. I do this for hours and I talk to people throughout the day, and I'm able to check to relax and do exactly what I need to do. Once again, you've been tricked into a thing because you think that you have no value outside of toiling for somebody else. I don't need to. You see the SOC on here? The Most High allowed me to be able to start SOC as an organization, EIN, all that stuff, be sovereign, SOC University, do all these things, etc. Right? That's your mind that somebody taught you. You are captivated. You are a captive. You are enslaved by a mindset that you're reversing the bag. If you do have a job, I've had jobs before. If you do have a job, if you have a side hustle, any of those things, use it to get to a place where you don't need to have anything except passive income. That should be your goal, is to get to a place where you have passive income. Why is it that you want to give 8.5 hours, 9 hours a day to somebody who doesn't care about you, and somebody's not going to bless your community, and somebody that will tell you the best way to serve them is to leave your family? I'll tell you why. Because it's the way of the world. Somebody reversed your mind. Yeah, and we all want to get there. I'm not saying I've never had a job. That's the weird thing people do. Blah blah. Like I've never worked or worked for somebody else. Right. Matter of fact, in my work, I work for other people. I work for you all. I work for companies. There are people who ask me to speak on their platforms. There are people who ask me to come to where they are to talk to people. There are people who don't believe what I believe that still say, hey, but the principles that you have, come and teach them. Right. Just because I'm working, I'm still in my work. But being in my work is different than toiling for somebody else to a point to where I can't do what I'm called to do. And that's where you guys are lost. You said give some ideas of passive income. We give ideas all the time, and we'll get there. Right? I've already talked about passive income. Sorry if you just joined us. We do have this recorded though. But I promise you we'll get there. Right? As we're led to. And as I'm assigned to. Right? I've got points that I'm going to make sure I get through. I'm not going to rush through them. Because if I rush through them, this is what part of the issue too. You think that to make you rich, you're supposed to get rich scheme. And there's discipline. No shade to you personally, but I'm just saying, I'm dealing with a lot of comments in a lot of different places, right? So I'm just trying to tell, like, somebody will say, oh, you got to have a job, a 9 to 5. No, I actually work too hard in my work to give it up. There's too many lives that I'm helping to give up and go back to where I was. There's too many, you see what I'm saying? There's too many things that are going on in my life to where I'm doing positive things that actually do help, not just put money in my bank account, which I don't make that much money. I just live a righteous life to where I'm okay. Like, for example, there's bills that I don't have because I paid off stuff, right? So you might be talking about I got to have a job because I got to make sure the rent is paid or the mortgage is paid. I don't have that. I'm not saying I don't have any problems, but I don't have that, right? So it doesn't make it makes it less necessary to work the hours that you feel you have to work or be under somebody else. Um, I'm able to do things with energy that others aren't doing, and I'm trying to learn how to do even more to be less dependent on the system and on the grid. So even though I make less money, I don't need the money. I know money's not real, right? I'm building up on stuff and trying to make sure people in our diaspora are eating food, which means if they can eat food, that means I can eat food, right? So my grocery bill is not going to be the same as yours, right? My wife was outside earlier today looking at food, looking at herbs and things. She's a herbalist. She can go outside in her own garden, right? Stuff that's grown here and get things there. She's not getting the Gucci bag to barely have 100 in it. She's got the Gucci lifestyle so that she don't even need 100. Because you think money's real, but money's supposed to get you real things. Money is monopoly money. Money has no gold or silver to back it up by law. It's not worth the paper or the cloth it's printed on. But you got to reverse the bag. See, you're chasing a bag that's not real. I don't even have any cash. If I did, I'd do something that was illegal for real. So maybe it's great that I don't have any cash on me. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I have any paper here. I can just, okay. This is some paper here, right? It's just some paper. I've been stepping on it. It's dirty and everything, right? But it's the same thing your money's made out of, right? And you think that your money's different because somebody put some print on it and that it's worth something. It's just paper, right? And you think, watch this. If I were to write the number, well, I'll just put it in the center. I know this is not how they put it. But if I were to write the number 1 on this, for some reason in your mind, you think that if somebody prints the number 1 on this, I'm sorry, it's backwards on TikTok, right? But you think that because it has a 1 on it, it must be worth 1. And if somebody adds a 0 to it, for some reason you think it must be worth 10. And if somebody adds another 0 to it, you swear that it's worth 100. But it ain't nothing but paper. And you chasing this as if it's gonna get you anything. You see what I'm saying? They reverse the bag. And it's time for you to reverse course in your mind. That's the first thing that you need to catch, is that this is a game. This is monopoly money. If I were to come to you and see, watch this, and some of you don't even catch this. Some of you would be really upset. And I get why, because it's your game. But if I were to come to your game board and I were to rip up a $500 bill in your monopoly money, you'd be upset, right? But it's just monopoly money. But you say, well, I bought it, and it means this, and blah, blah. Okay, well, now we're getting somewhere. It's because of what it means to you. Well, why does it mean a lot to you? Well, because this game is something that we do, and it's fun, and I put this, and how dare you, it's my property, and this and that. Okay, so now we're getting to, is it more important that it's your property, or more important that it's a $500 fake bill? And if that's the case, in real life, why not get real property? Right? Why not get the actual boardwalk, the actual park place? Well, you catch what I'm saying? How you doing, Echo? How you doing, Sister Lord? Right? Why not get the actual funds? Right? They've reversed the bag on us. We're chasing stuff that's not even real. Right? We're instead of getting money to get what's real, watch this. Why get, just real talk, many of you are saying how hard it is to pay your rent. So why keep getting a brand new car every 10 years or so? Some of you more, even less than that. Why keep getting a brand new car when you could go to an auction, buy a car for $300? Yeah, it's not going to be the greatest car, but so what? Get you a little Dodge Neon, especially if you're short. Just get you a little Dodge Neon. If you want to paint it, pay $200, $300 for a paint job. If you want to make sure, like, let's say, I've done this. I'm talking about experience. I'm 6'5.5", still did this with a little Neon, right? Because I had to. Bought it for $300. Had a leak and everything in it, right? So guess what that costs? $300, $350. You get the leak fixed, get the wheels down a little bit, keep it clean on the inside. You know, do a little extra stuff to it. Maybe $4,000 total. You own something that you don't have to pay nothing on again. And every once in a while, you got the same things you got to do with other stuff. Every once in a while, sure, do the brakes. Every once in a while, sure, get this done, get that done, get a filter clean. get an oil change. Sometimes you can do that yourself, depending on that, if you know how to do it or not. If not, it don't cost nearly as much as trying to keep on paying and paying and paying for something. Right? I'm just saying, a neon, you could get one from auction, 300. You can get a lot of cars, 300. And if you know what you're doing, you already know what I'm talking about. It's not going to be that difficult. And even if you do not find, get with somebody who knows what they're doing, watch some videos, learn, become an expert at least on how much stuff costs so that somebody doesn't overcharge you for getting a car that needs some work done. You'd be surprised. Even if you need a brand new engine in a car, it's still cheaper than buying a car and paying $50,000 for a car that might be worth 15, if that. As soon as you drive your $50,000 car off the lot, somebody probably won't give you more than $15,000 for it, with it being supposedly brand new. And it also, that's a lie, right? Because if you drive it off the lot, it's supposed to lose value. Problem is, how many times do they test drive it off the lot? So every time they test drive it off the lot, it already lost the value. I know this because I didn't sell cars, but I know this because I was a salesman. And I sold a whole bunch of different things. And I promise you, as soon as it left, even if it was rent-to-own stuff we were giving somebody for an event or something like that, technically, as soon as it left the building, the remaining value dipped. If somebody used a couch just to sit on for one event, if they weren't buying it outright, it dipped. If somebody used a refrigerator because they were having a party and they wanted to be able to put some stuff in there, it dipped. As soon as it leaves, matter of fact, technically, as soon as it left the place it was built and came to my establishment, it had already lost value. Before I even took it out the plastic to give it to somebody else, it had already lost value. They lied to us. This is the problem. You said your car, what was you saying? You said your car $55,000, went to trade it, it's worth $17,000. Tell them the truth. Come on, I'm just trying to tell people. Look, and I'm not saying you shouldn't every once in a while be in a position to get the great stuff that you have. My wife had the last car note that I had just recently. Praise God. Last year we were able to say, finally, no more car, because we were just buying everything else at auction. But she wanted a specific thing. She's my wife. You know, she's a blessing to me. She deserves it, and she does so much work. Why not, right? So we made sure we finished paying off his vehicle. I won't even tell you how much it was. It's a lot. It's a really, really nice vehicle, right? Got it about 7 years ago, right? Paid it off, everything. Got it even less than what it probably would have been as far as payments because of the banking that we were able to bless to be able to change it over to, but still pretty expensive car, custom, all that stuff, right? But during that, even if we had other vehicles, I'm not paying a whole bunch of payments. And even during that, we had to start lowering other things. Okay, we got to get a house. We got to stop doing this. Because it doesn't make sense. Even in a toy or even something that's supposed to be nice or plush or extra. See, that's extra, right? But if my extra is affecting my bottom line, something's wrong. I shouldn't get extra if my bottom line's not correct. How you doing, Yosef? How you doing, Frank? You said on top of maintenance because you paying the car note plus oil changes, filters. Yeah, come on, right? Now this is stuff that's, I'm not saying it's stuff that, by the way, is something that is bewitching or people can't behold, people can't catch. This is not something that's extemporaneous. This is something that we are aware of, but we don't know. Remember, the word KNOW means that you are intimate with it. Exactly, that is not extra. You said you drive a Prius? Okay, cool. Right? I'm not talking about the vaccine right now. I apologize. The answer would be no. And do I know people that didn't do well off of it? Yes. That being said, though, that my focus is I don't want to be rude. My focus is going to be on this today, on reversing the bag, because everybody's chasing something, but they're chasing a bastardized version of it. They're chasing something, but they're chasing something that's not the correct way to look at it. Right? You're chasing something that doesn't pay dividends. Right? If you're chasing something that loses value as soon as you got it or never had value in the first place, once again, money is paper. Money is cloth. Money is not right. When you pay $100, if you were, let's say you were paying $100, I know this is not worth $100. Well, I would say it is, but I know it's not sold for that. But if you were to pay $100 for whatever cloth that you're going to wear, right? The cloth that you wear is actually worth more than the cloth you use to pay for it. This is why you think, watch this. Can I help you reverse something? This is why you think money's real, or why you think money has more value than it does, right? And I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this. I know it's gonna hurt people's feelings. I'm just being honest with you. I know this is gonna hurt some of your feelings. It's gonna make you upset. It is what it is. All right? It is what it is. I know this is gonna frustrate some of you. It's gonna make you upset, but here it is. The reason why you think money has value is because somebody made you toil for it. That's it. Somebody made you work your behind off for it. You know, you get $10 an hour. Somebody made you work 10 hours today so that you can get 100. Oh, no, wait a minute. They took 50 off the top. And the state's going to come looking for their 15 after that. Right? Right? And you had to, and then you oh, wait a minute. I had to give this much for, for health insurance, and this much for the state, and this much for, right? Somebody made you toil and was robbing you at the same time. So the little bit that you got, you're like, oh, this thing is so, they tricked you. They tricked you. They made you believe that you should work for money and not for your own livelihood. They taught you to work for money. This is why you went to school. They told you were going to school to be able to do what? See, you thought you were going to school because you just needed education. An education for what purpose, my brother? Education for what purpose, my sister? Shalom, Sister Kelly. Chef. Right? They told you were working your behind off in school. And all you did was go from working your behind off in school to either going to work your behind off in somebody else's job or to go to prison, because of the school to prison pipeline. And your job and your schools and your prison, they all act the same. You are a slave to the corporation. Even the United States is a corporation. Look up United States law, 28 U.S.C. 300215 subsection A, subsection B, and subsection C, and you will discover the United States is a corporation. It's also a board. That's why you have a president, vice president, secretary, treasury, all that stuff, right? Cabinet members, etc., minority, majority, and then it also is publicly traded, instrumentalization. And money's not real because there's no gold, right? There's no gold to back it up, right? There's no gold standard anymore. So since there's no gold standard, there's no money to back it up. That means, what is the thing that backs it up? Your slavery. And people who are not slaves don't pay taxes because they have passive income. I'm not even going that deep. This is surface level. What did you say, Rockefeller wanted workers? Yeah. And by the way, all your universities, your medical universities, your HBCUs, that's Rockefeller. Research, tell me I'm lying, right? Somebody go show me I'm lying, show me the lie. But when you don't find the lie, you find that what I'm saying is true, you got to start asking yourself, do you keep wanting to stay in the system, or do you want to find a way to come out of that? Now, you know the way a lot of people come out of that? Communities. Because not everybody's going to be able to be rich. That's another lie that they sold you. Here's a big lie. You ready for this? Here's a big lie. You ready? I used to teach this. I repent of this. I used to teach this because they taught me this lie. You ready for this? Here's the big lie. The way you're going to get rich, the way you're going to make it out, is by multiple streams of income. Anybody ever heard that lie? Somebody said, that's not a lie. So-and-so, that's a lie. I'm going to say it again. This is the lie you were taught. The way to get rich, or the way to make money, is going to be multiple streams of income. And while I'm not saying it's not, it's a great thing to have multiple streams of income, peep game. You don't get rich off of multiple streams of income. You get rich because you do one thing really well. Don't be a jack of all trades and a master of none, because that's incorrect. It is, the saying goes, I am a jack of all trades and a master of one. You do one thing really well, and it gets you to a level to where now you have an opportunity to start sowing into other things. See, you've been taught, have a backup plan, right? And have a two backup plan. The problem is that if you have a backup plan, you don't give everything to what the plan is. I'm not saying don't have another course of action if you fall, but don't keep saying if I fall back, I'm comfortable falling back because I've got something else. No, be great at one thing to the point to where you start getting to a certain position where now you can start putting in the things that you're not so great at. The other multiple streams of income are not what you have mastered. The other multiple streams of income is what you are a jack of all trades in. You're okay in this. So you can afford to go ahead and put okay type stuff, but you still keep putting your main thing. Look, Amazon at the end of the day is still a place to where people come into a library and get what they want and check it out. That's how they started. So even if Amazon now gives you television shows, what do? Online, virtually, you go to a place and you find what you want to watch and you check it out. Right? If you want to get food from Amazon, you go online and you look at the food options that are there and you check and you say what you want and you pay for it and you check it out. They are still really great at one thing, but they have gotten their hands at a bunch of things. And in your mind, you say they've monopolized by becoming great at everything. No, they're not great. Amazon will not give you the same service as a mom and pop store will and something. But Amazon is really great at making sure that you can come in, find it real quick, and check it out as if it's a library, as if it's whatever you want to read, whatever you want to research, whatever you want to study. They'll give it to you, but they're not as great as the people who are actually great at it. But they became really great at serving you options and allowing you to come in and check out whatever you want. It's the same model. Once you find out that that's their model, you'll find out why they were able to start getting into everything else. Jeff Bezos doesn't know anything about making shoes. Jeff Bezos is not a cobbler, but they have shoes for people that work at Amazon. Why? Because if you work at Amazon, you're going to need some shoes. And so even though we want them to wear the shoes so they can make sure they make deliveries for us, we're going to go ahead and need to buy a company, and then we'll start selling the shoes from the company we just bought so we can make sure that they have great enough shoes. You probably can get greater shoes from other places for even cheaper, but they'll go ahead if you work for their warehouses. Anybody work for Amazon? You can verify if I'm lying or not. I've done some side hustle stuff before at Amazon warehouses before. I promise you, right? They started giving people shoes and all this stuff, whatever. And you're like, Amazon sells shoes, and they got shoes for their workers. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, they're convenient. They're not the best, but hey, it's right there because that's not their focus. Their focus is we need you to wear what we're a jack of all trades in, so you can go ahead and keep on doing what we do, which we're a master of. Everything's focused on the one. Everything, the ancillary part is going to get you focused right back on the one, right? What is the one thing that you do well? That's where your finances are coming in. Yeah, he's not going to be delivering no shoes. Jeff Bezos is not great at deliveries, right? Maybe you will master the deliveries so that you can make sure that you put into what he's mastered. But he's not going to do deliveries. He doesn't care about being the best deliverer. He needs you to master that, right? He'll be a jack of all trades. He knows enough about it to support it just enough. He'll treat you like a human being just enough. But his bottom line is not you. His bottom line is Amazon. You used to drive for him? Yeah, I'm just saying. People don't recognize this stuff. People are trying to be jacks of all trades with your finances, and you've mastered none. You've mastered nothing. That's the way it is, right? If somebody goes, oh man, look at all the money that all these chefs are making now, and they got all this, and they got multiple streams of income. No. They were great at cooking. And they became so great at cooking that they started opening up. See, watch this. The restaurant isn't even what they do well. Your favorite restaurant you go to with your favorite chef, the chef became great at learning business, but that's not what got him the business. What got him the business is because he could cook. You hear what I'm saying? You're not going to the restaurant because you like the restaurant only. Somebody said, well, I like the ambiance and this and that, but you're coming for the food. The food opened the restaurant. I'm trying to tell you, your gift makes room for you. You have it in your mind that the restaurant is where you go to be served food. No, the food is what you're coming for. The restaurant is just an extra piece. The restaurant is like people like to eat inside. Okay, we'll give them that. But ultimately, we want you to eat the food. This is where, right? We got to reverse the bag. You're chasing this bag in reverse. You're chasing the Gucci as if the Gucci is the same as having the 2000. Or if you have, watch this, you'll have a Gucci purse with $50 worth of stuff in your bag. So much stuff in your bag you can't even find anything in it. But on the outside, it looks so great. But on the inside, You can't find anything. Yehoshua said it like this about tombs. He said that many people are whitewashed tombs. On the outside, they look clean. If you go and visit the graveyard prayerfully, if they're taking care of it like they're supposed to, you go visit the graveyard, the tomb, it looks great. The stone, it looks great. It's washed, it's clean. But on the inside, if you were to go and dig deep, you don't want to see what's on there on the inside, even if it's a loved one. You wouldn't want to see them in that state, would you? Because just because the tomb looks clean, it still doesn't mean it's not a tomb. Right? If I go and I look in the tomb, and a lot of people are inside, they have things it's empty inside, it's lifeless inside. You said, what if somebody doesn't know their gift? Well, the thought of somebody doesn't know their gift, and we try to develop it. You try to develop it. You try to find, what is it that I do, right, that I would do for free? Some of these things sound cliche, but they're true. What is it that you know that you do that nobody else does like you? I'm not the only speaker to exist, but I know there's people that can't speak like me. I'm not the only musician, but I know there's people who can't play music like me. I'm not the only husband, but I know that there's people who've never thought about being a husband through the prism and through the culture that I come through, right? I'm not the only person that has a culture, but I know there's a lot of people that don't share things through my cultural lens and viewpoint, right? So I would say, if you don't know what your gift is, there's many different questions, many different things you can go through. There's different surveys you could use, but usually it's something that you do very well. And a lot of times your gift is something that you're great at, but the problem is your gift is not going through the right, is not in the right lane. Or your gift is something that you don't give time to. A lot of times, once again, because the system or the world that we're in, it tells us that we're supposed to put our gift to the side or only use it for somebody else's betterment. Right? Like, I've had the ability, I tried my hardest. I really did. I told y'all, I used to try my best, to serve other people. And I tried to be like, hey, I can make your company better. I'm great at, I'm great at social media. I'm very great at teaching. I can help your company with this, that, or whatever. I can build things from the ground up. I can help your church. I can help your corporation. I mean, people would say this, and I'd almost get the job all the time for all the different places. Nobody would give me the time of day, though, because I didn't meet whatever criteria at the end. Like, this is when I was walking around, three-piece suit, looking like 100,000 and all that stuff you're supposed to do, doing all that stuff that you're supposed to be attentive, right? Then I leave and I say, you know what? I'm going to be obedient to the Holy Spirit. Yahweh's been telling me for a long time, go this route, do this, be a Levite, be out there, I'll take care of provision, etc. I finally trust. And I go out there, and now I'm starting to do what I'm doing. And now a lot of people who could have had me literally just doing it for them are trying their best to ask me, oh, thank you for the love, appreciate it. Oh, I never seen that one. Oh, wow, cool, thank you. I've never seen that one before, praise God, right? But now I'm out here doing it, and people are like, how are you doing that? And they're mad, and they're frustrated, or they're like, well, we thought, and a lot of people thought I was just talking and this and that, but it was like, no, I had this, and it was something you could have used. But guess what? I'm glad they didn't use it, because they would have abused it. Some of them that did use it, they abused it. And abuse, I don't just mean they just did me dirty. Sometimes that might be the case. I'm talking about they abnormally used it. If I have somebody that can teach, why wouldn't you let them teach? If I have somebody that can teach different than I can, why would I let them teach different than I can? As long as they're teaching the truth, why not, right? But we have this thing, we've reversed the bag. We think that if we're not the head, but see, a lot of rich people comprehend. Jeff Bezos is the name that you talk about, but Jeff Bezos comprehends, even to a basic extent. Like I said, he's not really trying to bless anybody like that, but Jeff Bezos will pay his warehouse workers more than anybody else will. Why? Because if you get a little bit more than, right, then you at least feel like you are worth a little bit more. You may afford a little bit more, even if you have less time sometimes, but at least when you get time, you can maybe do some things you couldn't do before. So he says, why would I not share a little bit of the wealth if it's going to ultimately make me more wealth? And ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm not worried about every single dollar being the best, even though he wants to make as much. But he's more so concerned about, hey, I want to actually have control. Now, he's trying to control and manipulate, but his goal is, I want to be in control. To be in control, I'm not going to worry about some of the little pennies that other people are worried about. Right? Like some of your businesses, you won't help anybody. Yeah, we're more loyal to some of your businesses you won't help. Some of your businesses, watch this. Some of you, I give this as an example a lot. Some of you could be cooking right now. Some of you could have your food product right now going all over your city. And you don't cook your food, right? Some of you right now, but because you're busy. And you'll say, well, I'll just go to McDonald's, or I'll just go here, I'll just do something else, right? But you could come home, you got a stove you don't even use every day. Just sitting there, clean, pristine condition. And you ready to cook, you ready to make all this money. You could literally make a bunch of food. Money that you're wasting on takeout anyways. You could go to the store, buy a bunch of stuff, and make just 2 or 3 items. Get some to-go plates together, right? Save a little bit of money for some stickers to put on some stuff. Yeah, these are all recorded. And you can make some money to put some stickers on some items, and you can immediately just go ahead and just cook, right? Just take a day and cook this stuff. Cook a bunch of it, right? Give it out to your neighbors. If you're in an apartment complex, you don't even have to work that hard. Walk out your apartment complex. You got 10 people that live right next door. You got 10 people above you. You got 10 people there. Some of you got 20 people on each floor, 30 people on each floor, 50 people on each floor. Go on one floor and give out your food to everybody. Knock on the door. Have a presentation ready. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm your neighbor. I'm just cooking some stuff. I got my own business. I'm trying out a new recipe. I love it if you can go ahead and taste it, and just here on there, here's a number you can text, or on here's something you can scan or whatever. And just go on there and survey. I only got 2 questions on the survey. Number 1, did you like the presentation? Number 2, did you like the food? Can you rate it from 1 through 5? Right? Oh, wow, thank you so much. I don't even have to cook. Or wow, I don't even have to worry about anything tomorrow. Or wow, you gave me something for lunch. Or man, I work 3rd shift. I'm gonna be able to take something in. And that automatically makes it taste better. Right? Because of the convenience. It automatically tastes better. Right? But then they get your best punch. They get your best flavor. They get your best foot forward. And they eat it. They say, wow. And then you put a little number on there, right? When they do the survey, put a little number on there. If you want more information, you can text us to blah, blah. They text you. They say, man, you said you got a business? Yeah. Well, how much does it cost for the place? It costs, like, usually, I mean, they worth like 15, a thing. But, I'm doing a thing right now where I'm just giving them out for 10. If you start getting them for 10 and you want to keep getting them, I'll put you on a list where you can just keep getting them for 10. Wow, thank you so much. You just started a business. And then watch this. What if they take it to work? What if you mess around now while they're doing that and you have a little bit extra? You make 10 extra and you take those. Make sure those don't get touched. You take those and you bring them into your job tomorrow, and you make sure that they can be microwaved, or if they, make sure it's going to be as fresh as possible, however you present it, right? Or if it can't be microwaved, you make sure that you just make some cold stuff, so some room temperature items, and you take it in with you to work, and you sit them down in the middle of the room, and you say to everybody, hey, I want you guys to try this out. Please try this out for lunch. You make sure you get there lunchtime. You make sure you run the lunch, the refrigerator for everybody else does. Hey, I just want to make sure you get try this. These are just the whole meal. The whole meal's on me. Or maybe even before you do it, the day before you do it, you tell everybody, hey, nobody get lunch tomorrow. Tomorrow lunch is on me. Right? And everybody says, really? Yeah, tomorrow, don't worry about it. Lunch is on me. And you go inside and you do all these things. See, you consider the cost. You could do that for $200. You could do that for $300. Take your eating out money for the month and do that. And watch what happens to your bank account. Sow your gift. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking if this pre-career. No, I'm on a live session right now. I'm sorry. You can interact if that's what the question was. Excuse me. Right? Sow your gift. Sow your gift. You do clothing. Wear your clothes all the time. Make clothes for somebody for free. Do you not know that most people, if not all of them, give their gift for free before they get money for it? Yeah. Bill Gates bought somebody else's technology and then gave somebody a free showing of it and showed how it worked. Now look at him. Whether you like him or not. Mark Zuckerberg, in the group that he was with, and Facebook and all that stuff, before it was even called Facebook, but put it together, it was something for free. People liked it, and when people like it enough, you can make money off it. All these people you're looking at, your favorite chefs that you like to watch on, I don't even know what these television shows are. Food Network, I guess is one, right? They used to cook for free. Right? Give it out What? Right? Matter of fact, a lot of people who are making money, guess what they do? They find creators that they like, or even creators. Some of them just hunt for people that get the most views. But regardless, and they at least play nice with them and get the creator to wear their stuff, or to eat their stuff, or to show their items. Right? If you're doing something that's for your diaspora, then somebody who's doing something for Black Lives Matter movement, you go to them and you say, hey, could you go ahead and test this out and see? And if you like it, just go ahead and keep it. And guess what a lot of the creators will do? You know what? Somebody did this and it helps me, blah, blah, whatever. Right? Thank you for the love. Right? We got to reverse the bag. We're trying to buy the Gucci and not have anything in the Gucci of value. You got to reverse the bag. You got to reverse the way you're thinking. What are you chasing? Who do you think is chasing you? Who are the people that you're selling to? I can have way less viewers than some people who have blue check marks. I do, right? Technically, we actually reach thousands around the world in interesting ways, the way Yah has it set up. But regardless, let's just say I'm only reaching 50,000. We're reaching more, but let's just say I'm only reaching 50,000 because it's 50,000 on one channel, 55,000 on another, 45,000 on one. I think it's 60,000 on another. 17,000 on one, 2,000 at least it says as far as the followers. But if you look at how many people we reach and you look at the algorithm, we reach way more, right? So I might reach only that few people. That seems like a lot, and it is. But maybe I only reach that many. Somebody else reaches 10 million. But somebody who reaches 10 million is living paycheck to paycheck, if that. Who do you think is doing better? Not trying to say who is better. Who do you think is doing better? Excuse me. Because you'll go up and you'll look up so-and-so online and you'll say, well, they must be worth $1 million because of blah, blah. They might be living up the back of their car, barely being able to afford an apartment, or trying their best to live higher than what they should right now, or living higher than they should even if they make millions. Right? Thank you, Sister Monica. I see you, sorry. How you doing, Brother Jermaine? And thank y'all for the love. Right? We've reversed the bag. You look on somebody's stuff, you say, man, there's 500 people watching or whatever. You look in their background, you say, oh, look at all this stuff in the background. They must be making it. That's for you. That's for show. A lot of people are told that they shouldn't be authentic. They should just do whatever they can to show you that they're rich so that you believe they're rich. And hopefully you believe they're rich enough that eventually you start making them rich. Right? But you were taught that's a lie. That's a lie. Right? You were taught that you were supposed to go to college to be rich. Here's one for you. Right? I just want to show you how I'm not saying you can't go to college. I'm trying to show you this is what they taught you. You know why? Especially in our diaspora. Why do you think that we want to go to college so much? We were told that college was something that we couldn't go to. Nobody would let us go to college, this and that or whatever. All right, now you started getting to go to college. Guess what they started doing? They started saying we don't care about your education anymore. We care about your certifications. So here you are going into debt to get educated. Come to find out, people that don't have your education get the same job, if not better, because they're certified in areas that now you got to get extra training in and still be in college debt. Right? But we don't consider the cost. We don't even think about that. It used to be a big deal for us. First of all, nobody in our diaspora used to care if we went to college. We cared about education, but who cared about college? College was only supposed to be for people who were going to basically work for the man anyway. I know that's something that messes with you, but like school in and of itself is still, relatively speaking, I know you're going to say there's a difference between 1800s, 1900s, and 2000s. Relatively speaking, and how long the earth has been around, college and university, universities go back from Africa to coming into Spain like the 1400s, I guess, or maybe even a little earlier than that. But if you're talking about like what you think of school today, what you go to as far as the school, that just started in like the 1800s at the earliest, and really what you go to school today, especially if you're in the UK, you really didn't start that until the 1800s, 1900s. Like this whole thing of you got to go to preschool, and even preschool didn't exist then either. But this whole thing of there's preschool, kindergarten, elementary, intermediate or junior, and high school and all that stuff or whatever, and then college and all that's brand new. Nobody used to do that. That's not how you got to another level, because that's not how education works. You're supposed to be educated Right? Watch this. All of you are educated the same, but you're not all the same. Have you ever thought about that? Everybody's supposed to go to the same school, even if they're not going to do the same thing. But everybody needs to read, write, this and that. Does everybody need geometry? How many of you are thinking about geometrical equations in your everyday walk? Thank you for the love. I'm just trying to help you out. Look, how many of you are actually thinking about geometrical equations? The only reason, by the way, that you think about geometry is go look at a Masonic ring. Who's in charge and who are you toiling for? That's the only reason you learn geometry. How you doing, Minister Leshman? Real talk. Go look at a Masonic ring, some of your bishops' rings, some of your cardinals' rings, some of your apostles' rings. I'm just keeping it a buck. Depending on what religiosity you have, maybe some of your pastors' rings, some of those police officers' rings. The only reason why you go look at the ring and you'll see a G on there and you'll see a protractor. The only reason why you even learn geometry is because people that are Masons want you to learn what makes them money and what causes you to be into somewhat of their religion, so that you will continue with their culture. That's it. Somebody, once again, he's stretching. He's really stretching on that one. No, they don't look on a Masonic ring. You see a big G that stands for geometry, and you'll see a protractor. That's why you learn geometry in school. That's it. It's not because you have to have it. It's not because you're going to need to know geometric equations. It's not because you need to walk around every day. It's not because it serves any purpose in your everyday walk. It's because it is a tradition that's valued of the fathers of your so-called nation. That's it. How many of you are using algebraic equations? How many of you walk around every day thinking X plus Y equals Z? Then somebody says, then you'll hear somebody like a Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's smart, by the way, but a Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson caping up for the system he's in, talking about, well, no, we need to make sure we learn these things because they help you to learn how to think. You're telling me I can't learn how to think if I don't know A squared plus B squared equals C squared? Thank you for the love, right? How you doing, just me, miracles, right? You think that I won't learn how to think without that? Right? You think if I can't say pi, 3.14, whatever, how many times do you think that comes up in my everyday life? And what used to happen with your education was you were educated by your family and by your community. This is why your black churches used to be a big deal in the early 1900s, late 1800s, because you taught your community what your community needed. And that's why it became a big deal to take away your 40 acres of a mule, because you were making more money teaching your community what your community needed. That's why they had to get rid of Tulsa, because Tulsa taught your community what it needed and became so popular that the world said, forget doing business with the big establishments in the United States of America. We'll just do business with these people right here, this nation right here. They said, we can't have that, right? And then you came back from that when they destroyed you, and they came back again. You said those equations give you anxiety in school? Yeah. Right? But that's what we're taught. We're supposed to go through all this stuff. We're supposed to be in this place. And if you're not passing this homework assignment, by the way, go to other countries whose educational systems are considered to be better than yours, and their children don't do homework. You know why? Because it's like working out. If your child has been working, like think about it. I need you to help. I'm going to help somebody with something. Your child doesn't need to do any more work, like extreme work. They really shouldn't be doing even this much. But as far as learning, your child does not need to do any more work than about 2 hours a day at the most, max. You know why? Because they're working a muscle. Your brain. Right? You're working a muscle. Excuse me, TikTok, you want to pause just for a second. Right? Does that make sense, though? You're working a muscle. And if you were to go to the gym and just be working, you probably shouldn't do this for 2 hours, but some people, they do that, right? And you just working and working and working and working and working and working. Okay, fine. 2 hours probably max. You should be doing that, right? You don't take the gym and go home. You don't say, okay, now that I've worked out 2 hours, I'm going to make sure that I get a 2 hour homework assignment, and then I'm going to do it at home, and then I'm going to go back to the gym tomorrow, right? But some of you believe, even though they don't do this anyways, it's impossible to do this, but some of you believe your child is supposed to be in school working their brain for 8 hours, and then coming home and working their brain for an hour, and then you don't think that something's not going to happen to the muscle, or they're just going to say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. Something's going to click off because the body's going to protect itself, right? Your child is actually able to learn a whole bunch of stuff you think takes 8 hours. If you teach it to them right, and really just give them a chance to be able to recover, they'll be able to catch something in like 30 minutes and never forget it. And if they don't get it the first time, cool. Let them cool down, right? Give them cool down exercises. You know, things like they like to do, man, I like to do this just to kind of escape. And you're like, you don't need to escape reality. You don't need to blah, blah. Let that baby have something that helps them decompress. This is why you have problems decompressing. You need to decompress, but never decompress. You can't shut your mind down. So here you are an adult, and you having all these issues. A lot of it's because you never learned how to have these coping mechanisms that are necessary to be able to avoid going through stress. So now here you're trying to raise your child to be the same way. Let that baby calm down. Let that baby enjoy stuff. I'm not saying that baby needs to play video games 5 hours a day, but if that baby plays video games 30 minutes to an hour and they got their stuff together and they're playing righteous games anyways and stuff that they can even learn from, those things exist, by the way. And right, and you can check in on them from time to time. But man, right, let that baby go outside. Babies don't even go outside anymore. Babies don't have friends anymore. Babies don't do play dates anymore. Well, there's so much going on. Yeah, I know you're super busy, so they can't do it, and you can't trust people. But if you got to go with them, go with them. But you see what I'm saying? Like, we've reversed the back, so now the next generation, they coming up with stuff. Now, here's the next thing that's going to blow your mind, or maybe it won't blow your mind. The next generation is already doomed to fail because of us not even taking the time to realize we need to stop putting so much value in how much something is worth. See, watch this. A lot of your babies will never be able to afford a house. I'm sorry to tell you this. This is why we got to get ourselves together in community at some point, right? And we got to make sure that at some point there's going to be some homestead going on. And you're going to want it. As much as people think, I'm not trying to make sure that you have to come there, you better bow down, you're going to have to do, we're not doing the whole, what a lot of these camps do, and the women better bow down, and you can come in and out as you please. But what I'm trying to tell you is you're going to want this stuff soon. You know why? Because your babies will not be able to afford to live. They're already testing stuff out on you. Weren't eggs like $75 a weren't eggs like $75 a carton like a few months ago? Y'all forgot? Right? Like, you know that houses, when people say, oh yeah, the American dream, house, white picket fence, 2.5 children. I don't know how you get a half a child. I know you're talking about averages, but that's kind of weird. Nevertheless, right? But you know, white picket fence, 2.5 children, house, this and that or whatever. Do you know what houses cost back then versus what they cost today? Are you aware of what a house costed then and what it costs today? A house that's worth $25,000, if that, because to be honest, is not even, but a house worth $25,000 is being sold for $750. And depending on where you are, that's not even a high thing I'm talking about. If you go to Massachusetts, I bet you, $1 million home for a home that down in Georgia might be $200,000. It's not out the question. Matter of fact, the home in Georgia that might be worth $50,000, go up to Massachusetts, that thing is $1 million. Try to just get an apartment in New York. Try to get an apartment in Chicago. Try to get a hut in San Francisco or Hawaii. Your babies are being put in a real bad position, and they are learning to chase stuff that's not even going to be a real option for them. You better teach these babies how to learn and how to grow and how to be doing things at a grassroots level. You better start teaching these babies, right? You better start teaching. We need to do something as a community, and we better start building up stuff, and we better start having some businesses, and we better start figuring out, hey, who's the person that does jewelry? Who's the person that for us that does food? Who's the person for us that does homes? Who's the person for us that does HVAC? Who's the person for us that does? We better start having some real conversations, because you're not going to be able to get it through their system. Solomon was noticing yesterday. We went out for family day. Where did we go? We went a couple places, but we were at a store. Anyways, long story short, we ended up at a store getting something to eat. Right, a place I hadn't even remember it existed. It was called Harris Teeter or something. And so we were out family day and stuff, and we went and got some stuff, basically really ended up getting water, right, mainly. But anyways, we went over there, and we're in the place, and we come out, and he notices this very big trend, which is in the East Coast, and especially Northeast. I can't speak for everywhere else. Maybe even West Coast, a lot of places over there that I've been. I can't speak for other places right now. But we go to this place where basically, it looks like a hotel, but it's where people live, right? But on the bottom of it is what? All these stores. And he's like, what's all this stuff here for? He's like, do people leave this place? He notices this. He's in his 8s. He's not 8, he's in his 8s, right? And in his 8s, but he looks up, he's like, what is all this stuff for? He's like, do people live? He's like, do people leave here? Seems like everybody just stays and it's not. I was like, well, son, the reality is that a lot of places are built like that now. And they're even building, fake sunlight indoors, and they're going to start there's a lot of places, they actually have underground places now, not just in the United States of America, but in other places. And they're trying to make these facilities where everybody will just stay inside and get everything that they need there, blah, blah. And he just looked at me strange, because he realizes that doesn't make sense. He said, your father paid $13,700 for your house in New York and sold it for $500,000. Yeah. That used to be what you did, right? Yeah, it's a different thing nowadays, right? But I was trying to show him that, and you had all these people, all these couples coming out, families doing this and that or whatever, and I'm trying to tell you, they keep up with the Joneses. You can tell. You can tell how people do stuff. You can tell how people try to look at you or look at this or whatever. You can tell. You can tell people that live or feign riches versus who are rich. Right? And these people are doing everything, living paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of us live paycheck to paycheck, miracle to miracle. Don't have goals down the line. Don't say this is what we'll do to make sure that we reach a goal. We just go, we just in our mind have said we can't make it without. So we've just decided we can't make it without the system. That's what we've done. We've just decided, hey, it's not going to get any better. It is what it is. This is what you have to do to make it work. No, you don't. No, you do not. Right? You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to do more. You are allowed to reverse this curse, to reverse the bag. Stop chasing a bag that's empty on the inside. You got this brand new $5,000 purse and it has nothing in it. Wouldn't it be crazy to pay $2,000 for a wineskin and there's no wine inside? I mean, wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy for me to pay $2 for this and there's no water in it? It's a nice bottle though. It's empty. Isn't it crazy to put faith in something that has something dead on the inside? Like whitewashed tombs, clean on the outside, but there's a body inside. We visit whitewashed tombs. I'm not saying you can't visit tombs of people, by the way. It's for educational purposes only. I'm not trying to say you can't visit somebody's grave who you love and all this stuff, right? Grief comes in many different ways. People deal with grief differently. I'm not here to tell you what you can or can't do. That's not what I'm doing. I want to make that very clear before somebody uses that argument, right? But we need to get back to a place of recognizing, like, what are we doing here? You said even if it had wine in it, right? But we got to get back to this place. Like, even if this is supposed to be $2 and it's not, but let's just say this is supposed to be $2 is water, and it has no water in it, doesn't make sense to pay $2 for it. But people chase the bottle because if you have the bottle, well, shoot, you drink out of high value water. No, it just means you have something that's high value or something that holds high value. But what you want inside is missing. This is why whenever you get new wine, you're supposed to get new wineskin. How you doing, C. Taylor? Is this making sense? I know this is basics. I know for this is basics, but I'm trying to reverse the way you're thinking about it. We don't want to think like commoners anymore, right? We're done thinking like commoners. You are a kingdom. So I'm not talking to you with common sense. I'm talking about kingdom sense, okay? This is why whenever you get new wine, you're supposed to get new wineskin. First of all, old wineskin doesn't continue to grow with the new wine, so it will burst, number one. But you get new wine with new wineskin. The old wineskin is valuable because of what it was able to expand and hold. But once what it expands and holds gets to a point where it's about to burst or somebody's opened it up and starts drinking out of it, then the old wineskin no longer holds value for something that's new. You would say, well, the new wine, which is just basically juice. Oh, wow, thank you for the love. Appreciate it. How you doing, Minister Yasai? How you doing, CT? Shalom to everybody. Peace on all platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Appreciate you, right? New wine, right? New wine, you would think, is less valuable than old wine. Why? Because new wine has not fermented yet. New wine has not moved yet. New wine has not grown yet. New wine has not done these things in a particular order yet, and therefore is not as valuable. It doesn't have as much age. It's not as mature. It's not as perfected. Same word that they would use in the Hebrew for both. It's not as perfected. It's not as finished or complete as the other one is. It still has to go through a process, right? So the new wine is not as valuable as the old wineskin. But the new wine, when it becomes as valuable as the old wineskin, will burst the other wineskin, right? So you want the wine on the inside to influence the wineskin on the outside. I kind of ran around a little bit, but prayerfully you got that last part. You want the wine on the inside to influence the wineskin on the outside. Old wineskin or more perfect wineskin on the outside, you put something in it new and it begins to grow, that old wineskin can't handle it. They've got to grow together. The outside has to grow at the same rate as the inside. A lot of people want the outside to be old wine, but when we look real careful, it bursts apart. You got $500 shoes on, cut, but you can't afford to stay in your own house. Your baby's got them $50 shoes on, but you can't afford to make sure that they're eating properly. Yeah, see, it's got to stretch. It's got to be stretched. People who've been through some stuff, when you see somebody who's got riches, I've learned this. I pay attention to people. When you see that somebody's got riches, I start paying attention to their story because they'll tell you how they stretched. And this is why a lot of us don't like it when people who have money start to demand things of us. You just say, well, just give me your money. Just give me this. If I had $5,000, I'd be able to do it. If they gave you $5 million, if they got $500 million, they gave you $5 million of it, if you don't know how to be stretched or you don't know how to stretch it, you still going to lose it. This is why a lot of people, when they win the lottery and they start having to be stretched by lottery making decisions, they lose every time. They get, most of them end up broke. Why? Because nobody taught you how to stretch. You got all these people that make it to the NBA and the NFL and the MLB and all this. A bunch of them end up broke. How you end up broke and you had a $30 million contract? Because you didn't know how to stretch. So you got $30 million. First thing that everybody does, watch this. I'm going to get myself a house. I'm going to get mama a house. Remember, usually they do mama first, right? I'm going to get mama a house and a car. I'm going to get me a house and a car. Somebody only gets $2 million. I'm going to get my house, mama a house and a car. I'm going to get me a house and a car. And you're not just getting regular houses. You're getting $500,000 house, $1 million home, and this and that or whatever. Oh, wait a minute, there's taxes. Already done. There's people that will tell you, at that point, done. Had no more money, coming in for 4 or 5 years, had to sleep in stadiums because they had nothing else. Because nobody's taught them to stretch. Your education in school and all the stuff that they educated you in, how many times did they educate you on how to stretch money? See, we got to come back to our senses, come back into something that's not common sense. See, people say, this is common sense. It's not common. Your school system doesn't teach you how to stretch money. Your school system doesn't teach you how to sign a check. A lot of y'all don't even have checkbooks no more. Your school system doesn't tell you what you need for a cashier's check. Your school system doesn't tell you how to make sure that you comprehend the difference between passive income or what's liquidity, what is liquidity. Your school system's not talking about investing. That's why a lot of you kept looking down upon when we kept telling you guys, hey, cryptocurrency, don't forget cryptocurrency. And they were like, oh no, that's stupid. No, cryptocurrency is one of the best things you could have because it's something that the government can't trace. This is why they tried to come around it on it so bad and tried to make it to where it looked like the value went down. And guess what? Now a whole bunch of y'all who were talking so bad about it, cryptocurrency is way better than it ever was. Those of you who were bullish on it when it was low, guess what? You're doing pretty well now, aren't you? Right? Because they're not trying to teach you to be out of the system, out of the beast. They're trying to teach you that everything you do must depend on it. A lot of you who are listening to me talk about sovereignty are afraid to even sign any paperwork. Because even though you're sovereign, you can still get medical stuff done. And you're sovereign, you can still be on, get stuff from the government or whatever. Just know that something has to be taxable. But you can be sovereign and still make certain decisions and stuff like that. But you're afraid to move into sovereignty. I know some of you are, because you believe that if you move into sovereignty, what you're getting from the government will no longer be given to you. And you're like, I can't give up what the government's giving to me and still survive. But what if there's something greater than the government? What if there's a community? See, that's why I'm saying you got to build a community. I know some of this stuff is not going to happen just because you make it rich, right? The poor will be with you always. But that means that we have to have a system in place, a community in place, so that when somebody who needs comes across, we can make sure we take care of them. Yeah, they want 67,000 a coin, right? And by the way, that's great. Now that's just Bitcoin. There's other altcoins that are growing even faster, and you should know about the growth rates versus just how much it's worth. Get you some Bitcoin. That's the OG. That's going to keep on going, right? But make sure you get some of the altcoin and learn the difference between the altcoins. The best one to have has been for years now Ethereum, and people don't even know about Ethereum. That's number 2. Been number 2 for a long time. Now you got to know which type of Ethereum, but there's Ethereum. And it grows faster and it does more as far as, well, I'm not going to get into all that. That's a whole teaching that you'd have to learn some stuff. But I'm just saying, right? But people were so busy telling you not to get it. Or people don't even recognize that when you give your money to a bank, guess what your bank does? Your bank buys crypto. While your bank says don't do it, they buy crypto. While your bank doesn't say about investing this, investing that, they invest your money. That's why you can't get your money back. If somebody right now has $500,000 in their savings account, if you went to the bank and said, give me $500,000, they would say, we can't give it to you right away. You would think, oh, just because they don't carry it in the safe anymore. No, they don't carry it in the safe because, first of all, money's not real. And secondly, the numbers that they have in the system that says you have $500,000, they invested so that by the time they give you your $500,000 back, they're giving you a fraction of what they made off your money. This is why if you get in a car accident, you don't get your money right away. Why? Because the insurance company has to invest your money first and make sure they finish investing it to make sure that they give you pennies on the dollar. This is why when you go to a rent-to-own place or whatever, you go to a rent-to-own place and once you pass that 3 months or whatever, guess what? You got to keep paying and paying and paying and paying for 2 years, 3 years, sometimes 5 years down the road because everything you're giving is extra. They made the money on what it was a long time ago. Now at this point, you're just giving the money to invest. And here you are not knowing anything about investing. Your school system not telling you anything about investing, right? And when somebody says something, once again, people will hear me. How you doing, Hebrew Enrichment? People will hear me talking, and the first thing they start saying, where's your job? How much this? I've gotten to a place to where I'm invested in what I do, and I've invested enough in my life, and I've invested enough in things that are real to where I don't have to do those things. The goal is not to work until I'm 50. The goal is not to work and then get a second job and work that until I'm 70 or 80 and retire from 2 jobs. The goal is to be free. Free to have free will and then choose privacy, and in my privacy be able to have worship. A lot of people can't worship because you have to choose one or the other. You will either love one and hate the other, and you got to make a decision. You got to figure out during your week, do I have enough time to really get in y'all's face this week? You know what? Actually, I need that overtime. Uh-oh. Yeah. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. Give him glory. I know you don't want to hear that. That's real, right? You have to make those decisions. That's the way the system is set up. That's the way the beast is set up. We talked about beastly assassination yesterday. In the beast, they're trying to assassinate character of anything that starts to look like it's free, anything that looks like it's kingdom, anything that looks like it's Israel. They are trying their hardest to assassinate it. Make it look bad. How you doing, Sister Darby? Salah. If somebody says, I work from home, people go, Oh, can you believe they work from home? That's so lazy, isn't that? No, you should want to work from home. I don't even really got to do nothing on that job. Yeah, Drake with the mania, right? They try to make you look like you crazy for trying to escape slavery. Why would I be crazy? Why is that wrong that I don't want to be enslaved and that I don't want to be on somebody else's clock all day? And please forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm probably going to say it wrong. Is it Yadunagi? Thanks for being part of the community. I'm not sure if I'm saying that close at all, but thank you for being on, right? Why would it be wrong for me to not want to... See, look, I check in. I check in with y'all. I check in with my spiritual father. I check in with a lot of y'all, right? But I'm not trying to check into the government. The government just tried. Some of y'all know that we've been going through struggles and stuff and finally getting to a place where it looks like it's going to come to a close, praise God. But, you know, their whole goal is to try to get us to check in. We're not going to check in. We don't have to because of who we are. And if it means that, fine, we got to do a little extra to make sure we ain't got to check in, fine. But we'll get that extra done and then leave us alone. Right? Because we don't belong to you. We belong to a higher power, a higher source, a higher father, Abba Yahweh, Abba Alachem. And he's greater than anything that you can provide, and his benefits and privileges are awesome. But that's all that the stuff is. And if you're more in the system, you got to check in more. And if you're going to keep getting the benefits and privileges, now look, I comprehend. There's certain things I do and I have to do things or whatever for us as a family, for us as SOC. Sometimes you got to check in with the government, right? But in order to protect things, you tell the government who you are from the beginning. This is why even with the EIN that we have for SOC, for Servants of Christ, guess what? Our EIN has it to where we are private. Leave us alone. Right? People say, go ahead and just do this and just get 501c3. I've had people, there's different types of 501c3. You could just get this and you could still do. No, if I check in with the government, that means at a certain point I have to give them what they want. That's part of the thing. So when I checked in with the government originally, I told them straight up, this is private, right? This is religious organization, which means you got to back up constitutionally. And we do things like this, that. And if you try to check in on what I'm doing with stuff or whatever, then you're going to have to come against the policies that we have set up at SOC. But our policies are allowed to be above yours because of the First Amendment. Right? I didn't reverse it and be like, whatever you guys want, and if you go ahead and let us do a little bit of this, you guys can go ahead and have the right to be over us. No. Look. We, by law, have the right to do things over here. And as long as we don't break any public laws, you can't infringe on our private rights. Period. Right? You got to get to a place to where you start to acknowledge Yah in everything. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And then he directs your paths. We got to reverse the bag. We must reverse the bag. How you doing, Stephen Burns? Right, I'm saying Stephen Burns, excuse me. How you doing, Stephen? We got to reverse the bag. We're chasing the Gucci, trying to have nothing in it, rather than making sure that we have enough stuff. Watch this. What would you rather have? Would you rather have a Gucci purse? Right, watch this. I'm gonna make them the same value in your mind, even though they're not. Would you rather have a Gucci purse that was bought for 500 gold bricks, or would you rather have would you rather have a $20 purse filled with 500 gold bricks? I'm gonna try and say it again because I messed it up. Would you rather have a Gucci purse that was bought with 500 gold bricks, or would you rather have a $20 purse filled with $500 gold or 500 gold bricks? You can say the value might be the same, but no, they're not. Right? The Gucci purse you think is important. Now watch this. Here's another piece of this. We got to reverse the bag. We got to reverse our thinking. You think that the Gucci purse is important because you think Gucci's important. That's all it is. You think that Versace is important because you think that Versace, the name, is the value. But what does Versace mean to us? Does Versace even like women? I mean, a lot of women wear Versace, but does Versace even like women? Didn't he get off? Isn't Versace the one that got his life taken by his partner that was a male? Am I correct in that? I believe so. I'm not a big big designer person, but I'm pretty sure, wasn't that like in the 90s, like the early 90s or something? I remember as a child hearing about that. I might be wrong with that. I might be wrong. One of them got that happened to, but I think it's Versace. How you doing, Forever Young? But nevertheless, right? Versace's not interested in you. That's okay. It is okay. Thank you. Yeah, that Versace's not worried about you. Why you want him? Why you want his name on your stuff? Why you want his name on you? I mean, I don't even mind having names on things. I wear people's names and stuff on me. Brudo's gonna be sending me some stuff. You're gonna see all you know is from me in a little bit. I don't mind having names on me. Fine, that's authority, right? But why would I want Versace's authority on me? I try my best. It's almost impossible to nowadays. I try my best not to have Adidas or Nike or anything on anything that I wear. You know why? Because Adidas, well, Nike is somebody who's racist and does stuff off of sweatshop and slave labor and prison labor and stuff. I try not to wear Adidas or Puma because they both Nazis. I try not to have anything that's Coco Chanel in my presence because Coco Chanel, she was not only a Nazi sympathizer, she slept with a bunch of them to make sure that she can go ahead and keep on running her stuff. That's how she got where she was, right? I'm just saying that, right? And by the way, even these things that they're putting on, there's a spirit attached. Nike, we know to be the same person as Hermes, right? I mean, this stuff is spiritual. It's not just physical, it's spiritual. How you doing, Brother Craig? Right? And so we got to make sure. He was killed by a stranger? Okay. Whichever one it was. All right, thank you. Well, I know that Versace was supposed to be somebody who wasn't straight. How about that? Right? And wasn't designing stuff for our women. And when they had this stuff walking down the runways, no matter who they are, have you noticed that when they do these runway shows, all the people running down runways, they don't have no hips. They don't look like you. The culture that they come from, they're looking for, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, I'm just being honest, okay? The culture they come from, their stuff is made for people that they got that don't look like you. They're not shaped like you. They don't accent skin like yours. They're not designed for you. So why would you even worry about that? And here you have people in your community trying to design stuff specifically for you. How you doing, Sister Austin? You said we look for status labels of people that hate us because we do not check the origin of things. Amen. Yeah. And how are you doing, by the way? Right? Yeah, of course. We look for it all day, every day. How can we find a way that somebody else can look great on us who oppressed us? Yeah, FUBU for us by us. And FUBU was something that our people started making fun of FUBU. I recall that because I wanted FUBU real bad. My father was wearing FUBU and stuff. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I found out about the the for us bias on the low, right? And I was like, okay, he snuck that in there, cool, right? And I finally could afford FUBU, and I remember I started wearing it. People were making fun of me. You wearing FUBU? I was like, yeah, I thought that was for us by us. I don't even know what happened. Now maybe it got sold and all that stuff with everybody, but I was just like, I thought this was. you know? But we were taught to hate ourselves. We were taught to hate ourselves. If it looks like us or if it looks like it fits on us, then it's wrong, right? Even though everybody wants to get their bodies done to look like you. Everybody wants to be in your culture. Everybody wants to be in your stuff. One of the things that happens that it doesn't surprise me anymore. One of the things that happens that's really interesting to me is it's become cool for black people to say that anything that is black is automatically wrong because it is black. And if you were to say that something belongs to us because it is black, then somebody would tell you, no, it doesn't belong to us because that makes you a racist. That's become like the new cool thing to do. And then therefore you have to uplift the people who are kind of racist. Right? You have to uplift Eminem, who came out and said, look at early Eminem stuff. Eminem has a song. It's still on YouTube. You can go listen to it, where all he does, and it's terrible. His scheme is off on it, everything. He couldn't rap at all back then, right? He's much better now than what he was back then. But he has a whole song just saying why black women are terrible, and all of them suck, all of them want your money, all of them are B's and H's and all the stuff like that. The whole song. He's doing this really terrible beatbox thing to it. And people finally caught up with it, and then he came out and said, "Oh, I apologize. I was wrong. I was a different person." No, you weren't, M, because we know that when you came up with your stuff originally, this shows you how much Dr. Dre and them hate themselves too, and get with Jimmy Iovine and all this other stuff in aftermath. But when Eminem came, they had to change all his music last second. A lot of people don't know this. Eminem's record, they had to change the stuff and redo pretty much the whole album because it was so racist. Dr. Dre was gonna let it go. Somebody had to come to Dre and be like, "Hey, you know, if you put out to a black format to black people and this and that, and even the white people that's gonna listen to him, you know, you're gonna deal with a lot of stuff because he's pretty racist." Like that's known. That's not even right. So they had to erase a bunch of stuff. I don't know if any of this stuff still exists. They had to erase a bunch of stuff that was as far as take it off the albums, and then they had to redo the album and put it out. And then you look at Eminem, and who are we supporting? We're supporting somebody who made songs about him taking the life of his wife, taking the life of his mother, talking about girls being on mushrooms and stuff, and having them so high that they mess their bodies up and stuff, and just go, "Oh, it's just a joke." Like, we have to uplift this stuff. We reverse the bag. Now we got to chase the bag so much. We got to chase to be like Eminem, and now Eminem is a guy at the top under some Ashkenazi people, and so now we got to make sure that we bow down to them. And have them come out and say, "We're so concerned about these people who are lean and this and that or whatever," but it's like y'all the ones that put the music out. Hey, Sitman Khan, is that all you got? Because if that's all you got, I hope that you get more out of life than that. But you said, yeah, our minds have been totally reversed. We've got to reverse the bag, Sister Austin. We've got to. We've got to reverse the bag. We got to come out of this mindset to where, we're looking at things that don't really matter, as if they're things that are not real. There's two things that never should have happened that have happened, and now they happen all too often because we allowed them to happen in the first place. Two things. You ready for this? First thing is that we should have never allowed the colonizer to identify as the colonized. The second thing is that we should have never allowed the colonized to identify as the colonizer. Did you catch it? Let's say it a couple more times and make sure that we got it. We should have never allowed, number one, we should have never allowed the colonizer to identify as the colonized. Number two, we should have never allowed the colonized to identify as the colonizer. Let's say it one more again. We should have never allowed the colonizer to identify as the colonized, and we should have never allowed the colonized to identify as the colonizer. Salah. That means pause and think about it. Once we allow that to happen, it's fair game because you can't tell the difference. I said it to my wife plenty of times before. We'll be walking through somewhere, and I say, and we'll be looking at people from far away and from behind, and I'll say, "Can you tell the difference in looking at the clothes that people wear as far as what culture they're from?" And a lot of times the answer is no. I'm not saying it never happens, but if you're in a mall or a public place or something like that, usually everybody's just wearing the same thing. And somebody says, "Well, what's wrong with that? Why are you trying to say we can't wear?" Because there's a difference in culture, but also it shows that, because here's the standard. If the standard was, I won't even say that. Let me just keep it where it is. If the standard is everybody's trying to look like the colonizer, there's a problem with that. If the standard is everybody wants to look like the colonizer, then there's a problem with that. Right? If you are Italiano and you want to wear something Italian, wear it. If you are Hispania, wear it. Right? But there shouldn't be a problem with somebody, but here's the deal. When you have a bunch of people who don't know who they are outside of Stockholm Syndrome, you have a problem. For those who do not know, Stockholm Syndrome is where you have somebody who was kidnapped, and when they were kidnapped, they basically fell in love with the kidnapper. Now imagine this. A child is taken away and is kidnapped. And they're taken away when they're a year old, 2 years old. After a little while, the child doesn't really know that it has a parent. Might even have dreams about this person or a person's face or something, but really doesn't even comprehend they have a parent. Matter of fact, this has actually happened before. There was a show my wife was watching. It was popular in France through the 90s, maybe the early 2000s. And she speaks French, of course, so, she explained some of the stuff to me, and it was something I was using to learn. It was a very traumatic show, though. There would be a lot of stuff where people would break up and they try to bring, surprise them with each other and stuff and try to show they've changed or whatever. Or they try to show, family members that haven't seen each other in a long time. One of the things that we saw on the show, there was this mother, and her son had been kidnapped when he was a baby. So she had been looking for him, for the rest of her life. And he basically found out, that he might have a mother and that he wasn't just adopted, but he probably was stolen. Matter of fact, I don't even know if he knew he was adopted. I think he might have just thought those were his parents. I could be wrong on that part. Either way, he gets brought on the show, and he comes to the realization that this woman is, in fact, his biological mother. And they ask him, now it's a lot to ask on the show, public. There's a lot of stuff going on, I will admit. That being said, you can see by his body language that he didn't want anything to do with her, and he was still trying to be like, well, whatever, I guess but that's my mother. That's who I know, right? Now, your biological mother had no chance to be able to show you who you were, to love on you, to give all this stuff. I mean, she's in tears, she's crying, this and that, but this child was stolen. And can't identify with her at all. Looks like her and everything, but can't identify with her. Can't identify with this, that, whatever. They don't dress the same, they don't do this or whatever. So how could that really be his mother? And even if he's got to be messed up for the rest of his life, he'd rather be messed up closer to the family that took him than identify with the family that he actually is, right? And it's hard when the colonizer has set it up to where it's one thing, the colonizer begins to try and trick you and say, man, shoot, I'm on the same level as you. I'm colonized. Just like the original American is what? A copper-colored person indigenous to the Americas. That's by law. But now you think of an American, when they say, don't be an African American, don't be a Native American, just don't be a Spanish American, don't be a Mexican American, just be an American. We're all the same. It's like, no. Americans are copper-colored persons indigenous to the Americas. And you're not the same. I don't identify as you, and you will not identify as me. And when you say that, they try to call you a reverse racist. But what's wrong with reversing racism? By the way, even though that term ain't really real, let's just keep it a buck. Can I just put a little pause on that? Because that irritates me. I'm going to try to make sure that I keep my composure and I don't get in my flesh. But I'm just going to be honest. Righteous indignation will show a little bit. Look, there ain't nothing wrong with reversing racism. Like, I know what racism actually means, by the way, and it's even worse than what you think it is, but let's just go off of what you think racism is. Racism is, if I'm going to reverse it, what's wrong with it? You don't like reversing racism because that means I've reversed the system. Because ISM on any word makes it a system. And it's a system based off of race, which is what? Competition. So I reverse it to where I'm not in competition with you at all, because you don't have to be on the same level as me. Matter of fact, if you're into racism and keeping the way it is and you don't want to reverse it, then you're not my peer anyways. Salah. But they would try to have you feel so bad because you would want to reverse racism. What's wrong with that? Show me. Tell me what's wrong with that. What's wrong with saying this system is broken? A system based off of racism. A system based off of chattel slavery. You can try to call us whatever it is. You are based off of colonization and chattel slavery. That's what the West is. Stop trying to pretend with me. Stop trying to even when they teach you something, they try to say, man, you should be so thankful for Western medicine, because if it wasn't for Western medicine, everybody was dying at age 30. No, we weren't. In Africa, 30 years old was nothing to us. What are you talking about? Living 120, 150 years, that was nothing to us. It wasn't until you came and took away our culture and took away stuff and made us ignorant and then came in there and tried to say that you're more African because you had a child born there than I am because you took us somewhere else. What kind of foolishness is that? We're going to reverse it. We're going to reverse the bag, and we're going to reverse this racism. Got our people spending money on stuff that you wouldn't spend it on. Matter of fact, remember we did a whole thing where we listened to a video where they said that, where they talked about how the Negro spends money. Y'all remember that? Some of you might recall that was a while ago, at least a year ago, or somewhere close to a year ago. And we were listening to how they were talking about how, the Negro buys things because they believe it has to be more expensive, and it's not more expensive, then it's not worth this and that. Well, you can look it up. It's a show from the 50s or the 60s. It's a television show. It was it was an episode that they did specifically on how to get the Negro to buy. Hit us with the double bind. I got to do a little more research on that. Let me see something real quick on it though. Hold on. I might have it in some of my notes. Because there's like the double bind psychology and the double bind definition, right? Something like that. Right, yeah, so it's when you confront it with two, I don't know why this word is always tough for me. Irreconcilable. I always mess up that word. Sorry, y'all. You know what I'm trying to say. If you can't reconcile two things that can't be reconciled, demands or a choice between two undesirable courses of action. I don't know why that word messes with me. And then there's also like the double bind psychology, though, right? Now that one, I don't know if I have in my notes. Let me look at the definition of it. Yeah, so a double bind is a situation where a person has a choice, typically between two options, but whichever way they choose, they lose out, often with the same result. So if you never heard about that, that's what the double bind is, right? So you have like a primary bind and a secondary bind. So like, let's say primary bind, I'm just reading off this, you can look this up for yourself. I'm just reading literally right off the picture right now. So primary bind is like two I can never say that word. I don't know why I can't. Irreconcilable. I don't know why I can't say that word. I'm sorry, y'all. Two things that can't be reconciled, two commands or demands that can't be reconciled, i.e. conflict, contradictions, and a paradox. Then a secondary bind, right, is fundamental underlying belief system or worldview. So in your primary bind, what they basically do is they say, we're going to have two things that we give you that are a paradox. We're going to give you cognitive dissonance. We're going to give you double-minded. We're giving you something that you have to be in cognitive dissonance to exist in. And then after that, to bind you even further. That's the first part of the bind. Then the second bind to bind you even further is they say, okay, now we're going to make sure that we deal with your belief system. So they introduce to you something that's hard for the two that live in the space, but they're going to teach you have to live with this thing that's hard, these things that cannot be reconciled. We're going to have to help you deal in this space, right? As a man, that's difficult. Right, as a woman, that's difficult to deal with, right? But then on top of that, then they say we have a secondary bind. That's not enough. So now we got you confused, living in darkness, confusion, chaos. But then after that, we come and we give you a secondary bind, which means that it's fundamental or something that is a belief. So we're not even dealing with your beliefs. We'll give you something, for example, that has two things. George Washington says he has two presidents that are his favorite before he's the president. At the same time, we'll tell you he's the first president. You're going to have to deal with that. And more than likely, because of the way our system works, you're going to have to go ahead and live a lie, which you don't win in. If you decide not to live in the lie, you can't pass these tests. So we've set up the first bind, the primary bind. But then on the secondary bind, then we're going to start talking about his piety or how great a human being he was. Even though he's a slave master, even though he's pulled slaves' teeth out, even though he was forcing women to lay down with him, even though he cheated on his wife, even though he dies of syphilis, even though all these things show up, right? Even though he's an extremely terrible person, even though he committed genocide against Native Americans, even though he lied people into making sure they protected him and the rich elite so that he wouldn't get off by the British and told them they need to become Americans, even though Americans are copper-colored persons indigenous to the Americans. They're going to deal with their belief system and say, look at how pious he was. Look at how religious he was. Look at how great he was. Look at how much he was admired and honored. Look at how polished he was. You got a primary bind and a secondary bind. Thank you for that. By the way, Brother Vincent, I still have to do more research. I'm not 100% sure how to use that double bind yet because parts of it doesn't make sense to me just because I'll be too into the small stuff, right? Oh, you said I did it? Okay, praise God. I missed something. Minister Tammy, you said a couple things I missed. I'm sorry. I'm trying to scroll back. I might have passed it. Oh, nothing wrong with racism, reversing depression, or reverse racism, reversing depression, reversing wickedness. Amen. Yeah, there was something else I feel like I missed. I was talking about something. Thank you for the love, by the way. How you doing, Sylvia? Okay, well, I apologize. There was something I missed. Please forgive me, Minister Tamer. I feel like I missed something else. Right? But can you see, even in that double bind, you said you freed your mind, now you're going to vote Trump? Sure. I freed my mind to a place to where I don't vote because all of them are connected to the same bird. If it's two wings, part of the same bird, and their talons do the same thing to the people and oppress them, then I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. Right? Bill Clinton messed up a whole bunch of stuff with habeas corpus and everything. Bill Clinton has done a lot of stuff in Haiti. Trump has done a lot of stuff, including trying to say that, people deserve to go ahead and go to prison for stuff that they don't deserve to. He's also forced women to do certain things, allegedly, but some of the stuff's not even alleged, right? You can talk about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln hated himself, and had he been around, he said he was going to make it more difficult for black people to actually achieve equality and stuff like that. You can go to Ulysses S. Grant, two presidents behind him, who's supposed to be this great hero, and at the same time, he's a slave owner, but he's supposed to be the one that freed the slaves. I mean, we can keep on going and going and going. Every president sets a bad precedent for us. But if you feel like voting is something that's going to continue to change stuff, even though voting is something that doesn't even matter because you have an electoral college. The electoral college was put in place to make sure that you never got past the illusion that your vote meant anything. And even people who felt like the vote should mean something originally came against it themselves, even in your founding fathers. Look up your fourth president in Madison, who tells you straight up in his 80s, by the time he is at the end of his life, he says, yeah, this whole thing of trying to make everybody think that democracy is real is stupid. Because we don't want a mobocracy. Because you think it's democracy. Democracy means is what you're actually in, but it's not constitutional because democracy is not written in your constitution. Democracy means a few people who live together in these small villages govern you. Democracy. Cracy is government, right? But then if you look at a mobocracy, that's what you want, where the mob rules. The majority rules. If the majority rules, then the mob rules. Right? So you really don't want either. But if you keep voting and thinking that you're in a mobocracy, calling it democracy, well, really you're in a democracy, hoping for a mobocracy, that's double bind, cognitive dissonance. Right? We got to reverse the curse. We got to reverse the bag. We got to stop chasing the stuff that doesn't matter, that's not getting you anywhere. If Biden's in office, if Trump's in office, if Obama's in office, if Bush is in office, if Clinton's in office, if Bush is in office, if Reagan's in office, if Carter's in office, I mean, keep on going back. What has it changed? When they took recently, they changed. They took the limits off of inflation. Used to be a cap, 2% inflation. Now it can be 2 to 6%, and if you go over the 6%, you have to just pay a fee, which means that you got to pay more for stuff. So now, what's the cap on things? Was England better under the Queen than it is under the King? New members in and out of Parliament. Has anything really changed? Black people on Parliament now. Now black people are wearing the wigs. Is that? I mean, I'm sorry. What'd you say, Sister Austin? How you doing, y'all? In time yet? We ain't solve our problems by using the same system that created the problem. Yeah. Looking for the man in office when your husband is in the kingdom. Come on. Said inflation been hurting everybody's pocket, especially the past few years, most definitely. Words mean words. You go to the polls, a poll is asking your opinion, right? Or even poll is opinion. Poll also coming from poli dealing with persons, right? So you have the poll, which is your opinion, poli, persons, politics, right? So politics are where persons' opinions are managed. And they look at your opinions. When you vote, they're just asking your opinion, but they're not saying, we're going to go with your opinion. That's why you have an electoral college. All you do when you go to the poll is say, in my opinion, such and such. You can come to me right now. You can say, in my opinion, I think that you should stop preaching the word of God. I can take your opinion I can listen to your opinion. It doesn't mean I'm going to go with it. I can listen to your opinion. Doesn't mean I have to go with it. But we don't know what words mean. We don't care. We don't care what law is. You said citizens in the U.S. aren't on the board of directors that make decisions. There you go. Right? Citizens of the U.S. are in debt to the U.S. What does it make sense to have your slave be on the board? What sense does it make for the? I know this is what you were told, that the people who are voted in, they serve the citizens. But what point does it? What does it make for the person who's on the board of directors of slaves, in a corporation? A corporation where they make money off of chattel slavery, and that's where they get their capital from. What sense does it make for the slaves to tell the board of directors how to make moves? What sense does that make? Oh, okay. It's very nice to see an African. Well, I'm not an African American, but it's very nice to see somebody who's black or of color, or somebody who doesn't look at the status quo and doesn't use ebonics. All the same, he's probably going to say a bunch of stuff that pisses off an Anglican and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe I do. Even though you don't know what an Anglican or an Anglo person is, because the Anglos were off by the British, which really are the people who are Normandy, if you know what the British and the British and Romans and all that stuff is. So you should probably make sure to get yourself together. But the whole thing of coming on here being like, he speaks so well, that's not a compliment. I speak well, regardless if it would be in what you call ebonics, or if it's something that you think is proper English, or other languages that I might speak, right? If that's your way of saying hello, though, hello to you. But, that's a very, but like I said, that's why I don't mind when people come on, they say racist things, because I don't mind reversing it. I live a reverse racist life. I thank you for coming on. And I tell you this all the time. We talk about this stuff, and people come on and literally just make what we're saying legit. They legitimize it. Right? They come on here, right, where we're saying you got to reverse the bag. Because somebody's on here is like, hey, it's great that somebody would be on here and they would speak in a way in a manner in which I would be so happy with, and I'm not ashamed of it. And since I'm not ashamed of it, I will allow him to go ahead and cook, as if I needed your permission to cook in my own kitchen. You see, that's why we had this thing a while ago where we came on and we made it a point to say, hey, you are not my peer. I don't care how I appear. You're not my peer. If your first thing is to say, hey, I appreciate the fact that somebody who is black can actually speak in complete sentences, as if there are not many people who are black that speak in complete sentences, not only like that, in this manner, in this regard that it is that you're talking, but also the fact that many of us code switch because we know that we can't even be treated as decent human beings. Oh, Sister Austin's fine. I don't know if you did it on purpose. Sister Austin was fine. I think because their messages were next to each other, you might have accidentally muted her message. But she's fine. Right. But we have to a backhanded compliment. Okay, I feel like we're going through Sister Austin, so Sister Austin's fine. I think we might have accidentally gone because Sister Austin's oh no, never mind. Is that you're doing Miami person? Okay, sorry. I apologize. Do what you do, moderator. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so, but you see what I'm saying? That can't be my bag. My bag can't be that I'm chasing, right? Even on your money, the slave master is on the money. I'm chasing to speak like George Washington. George Washington doesn't mean nothing to me. Oh no, she's back. She's on. I think I was saying you muted one of her comments. She's fine. At least I think she is. Yeah, I think you just deleted one of her messages because it was close to the other one, and then they're the same color as well. Her and Miami Retro, whatever Miami Retro was saying. But you're doing what you do. You're doing great. She's fine. Thank you. You see what I'm saying? We cannot get into a place where we're chasing something that's not real, especially not real for us. How you doing? Be real. That's why I'm saying that, right? I am not here. You are not my standard. You are not my peer. You are not someone who is on my level if you think the only way that I can exist is if I just stay quiet and be enslaved and make sure that everything you do. There's an unction. Can I talk once again? This is more for my diaspora today, or those who are in the kingdom, especially, than for anybody else that's listening today. So I apologize if it's just something you got to pull up and listen to. Maybe you might want to listen with open ears and open hearts rather than somebody who's ready to shut everything down. I'm here to tell you, right? You will, if you have not already, you will start feeling crazy about the job that you're at because it's not your standard. It's not your standard. And these people that you're working for and with, they are not your peers. They believe that they're higher than you because they've been given power by wickedness. They think that they are your peers or they're greater than you because somebody wicked told them they are and told them that you're second tier. And it's going to start feeling weird when you have to keep being asked to do things that are against your belief system. Because this is bringing you out of that double bind we were just talking about. Recall, the primary bind is we're going to deal with something that gives you cognitive dissonance. We're going to put you in a situation where you got to deal with cognitive dissonance. But then they're going to put you in a second situation. Here's the double bind, right? Here's the secondary bind. Then they're going to start dealing with your belief system. And you're going to feel weird about it. You're going to. You have to. It's part of what will push you to start doing what you're supposed to do. Thank you, Minister Tam. Appreciate you. Right? It's what's going to start pushing you to do what you are supposed to do. I'm just telling you. This is the feeling that you're having when you're tired of dealing with this and tired of dealing with this at work and all these people aren't acting correct and blah, blah, and this and that. And yes, okay, it might be better than some other jobs, but you still have this thing and you start feeling like the double mind. That's the primary bind you're feeling when you see that what it is double-minded. And then when you get the secondary bind, when you're starting to feel like they're trying to mess with your beliefs. When you get to that place, that's right on time. Hear me now. This is, call us prophecy, whatever you want to call it. This is word. Hear me, beloved. Hear me, brothers and sisters. Hear me, brethren. Hear me, family. Hear me, SOC. Hear me, spiritual children. Hear me, whatever. You better not, when that starts happening, start preparing yourself to move. That means prepare an environment. That means get into your work, right? That means if you know that you don't feel, see, this is what happens. You get used to feeling sick and tired rather than preparing yourself to stop being sick and tired. There's going to come a place, there's going to come an opportunity for you to stop feeling sick and tired, but you better be prepared, right? Who cares if you see where the provision's coming from right now? You better prepare yourself to stop being sick and tired. See, a lot of people just say I'm sick and tired, and they get excited about being sick and tired, and you'll stay there. It's like when people say, I found Jesus, I found Yahushua, he is the door. But you better be ready to enter in. Okay? You better be ready to enter in. Don't just get excited and sleep at the doors. Don't sleep on the steps of the door. Don't sleep in front of the door and you're not prepared. The time is coming for you to be prepared to stop being sick and tired. For you to stop being sick and tired. But you better prepare. We're not preparing ourselves. We're not putting anything together. We're not honoring what Yah says. We're just saying, hey, I'm sick and tired. Are you ready to stop being sick and tired? Somebody says, yes, of course I'm ready. No. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about are you anxious about, are you frustrated with being sick and tired? You're misrepresenting the question, right? I'm not asking, are you tired of being sick and tired? I'm saying, are you prepared to stop? Are you catching the difference? Are you preparing yourself to stop being sick and tired? Okay. Some of you can identify, some of you might not be able to identify as much. Feast of Tabernacles. How great did that feel to come together? Feast of Tabernacles. How much did you have anxiety about, look, we might have had some of it show up late, but how anxious were you really about food? How anxious were you about money? How anxious were you about, right? Right? Are you prepared to be able to, even if we're not living exactly like that, but are you prepared, right, to be in a place to where you can do that all day, every day? Are you prepared, right? So if y'all, now I'm gonna be careful. I'm not saying this is your place to just leave your job, right? What I'm saying is, if Yah says it's ready time for you to leave your job, have you prepared for him to say so? If he's telling you to get ready to do so, have you been preparing as if he's telling you to do so? You said you could have stayed another week, and thank you for love, appreciate it, right? Are you ready for what you asking for? I was ready for SOC, this and that, or whatever. Ooh, we reaching people around the world. We better get organized. Should have been organized before. You kept saying that you wanted to be somebody that was out here. Kofi, now I gave it to you. You had years. You had years of study and do this and be ready and all this stuff. You had all this knowledge and everything, but you didn't think it was going to happen. Then all of a sudden, I took you from, hey, obscurity. Now all of a sudden, you're reaching millions. Are you prepared? No, I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't think so. They took down this channel. Were you prepared to keep on moving? No. Okay, they took it down the next time. You were prepared? Okay, I was prepared this time. Yeah, I need you to do what it is. I keep telling you to prepare yourself. I keep telling you you're going to do something exceeding abundantly. Stop preparing for what you can see and prepare for something that you can't even believe you could do. Right? I'm not a big fan of Chris Rock or anything like that, but I like something he said a long time ago. He said, if you look at a lot of the movies and opportunities I've gotten and some of the films that I've done, because he's done stuff that's not even comedies, things like that. But he says, you look at all this stuff, even if you think it's bad. He said, I am somebody who knows that I got opportunities that I don't deserve. And he said, I kept asking my my agent, don't look for just the stuff that I know I could get. Look for stuff that I have no business being in. Somebody caught that, right? I'm not preparing myself for stuff that I just know. I'm preparing myself that my old, look, the Kofi at 17 would look at the Kofi now and say, you don't even deserve to even think like that. Right? There's a Kofi 5 years ago that if we were looking at what we're doing now would have said, too soon. Right? There's people who swore that they were going to be the people who were going to be over me for a long time and swore that and would tell me that I was never going to be able to accomplish the things that I'm accomplishing today. Right? Yah wants to do something exceeding abundantly, right? The abundance doesn't come from the bag. The abundance comes from what he's about to put in you. Reverse the bag. Reverse your thinking. What's inside the bag is what makes the bag valuable. Who cares if I got a $5,000 bag and all I got on the inside are tweezers, a couple of pencils, folded up napkins, salt, sugar, right? Ketchup packets, hot sauce packets that Hillary Clinton said she had. Who cares if you got a $5,000 bag but everything inside you can buy at the Dollar Tree? Then that's a Dollar Tree bag. You got to reverse your thinking. No, you don't understand. This is a Gucci bag. This is a status symbol. No, that's a Dollar Tree bag. Everything in it comes from the Dollar Tree. I know Dollar Tree when I see it. I know Dollar Tree when I see it. I'm a Dollar Tree person myself. I know Dollar Tree when I see it. I know Family Dollar. I know the difference between Dollar Tree and Family Dollar and Dollar General. I know it when I see it. I drink out of Dollar Tree. I eat off of Dollar Tree plates. They work well. But I acknowledge the Dollar Tree. The food doesn't become better because I put it on the China cabinet plates. Y'all remember the old school China cabinet plates? You remember the old school China cabinet plates? Some of you still do China cabinets. Y'all know they used to be a big deal having the China cabinet. The China cabinet said you weren't supposed to touch it. You weren't supposed to breathe on the China cabinet. When grandmama and them, when mama and them brought out, I'm for the generation mama and them. When mama and them brought out the China cabinet stuff, and it's still to this day, we bring out the China cabinet stuff, you better know that we really like you or that this is a really important event. Because we don't just bring this out for nobody. We don't ever touch this stuff. Everybody else touches it. We don't touch it. That's a whole word right there, right? You got this thing set aside that everybody else gets to touch when they come by, but you can't touch it because you're not on that level. In your mind, somebody else can eat. You can serve somebody the best, but you can't touch the best. Come on, somebody. That's a whole word within itself. Think about how we were trained. Think about where that came from. I got something in my house that I put together. I collected this stuff. I went all around the world sometimes and collected this and that or whatever. I got gold forks Not just the silverware. I got the silverware, I got the goldware, I got all these different things. But I can't touch it unless I serve somebody else who might not even like me that much. That's a whole word within itself. But grandmama, it was important when you brought them plates out. Wow. You know what? Let's leave that right there. That was important when you brought that out, wasn't it? For somebody else. But what about you? And we just that was what it was supposed to be. Plastic on the furniture. Because nobody got to touch the furniture, because the furniture got to last. You got something in your life that it sits in a room and you're not even allowed to touch it. How you got something in your life that you can't even touch? Right? That you paid for. Come on. You paid for it. You can't touch it, because if you touch it, it'll lose value. How about the fact that I touched it is valuable? Yeah, it's got a mark on there. That's because I said, there's places that you go visit. If you go visit, forgive me for being morbid for a sec. If you go visit the theater, Ford Theater, and you go across the street from Ford Theater, and you look at the room where Lincoln had his life taken, when you go see that, guess what? When you go see that, one of the things that makes it valuable is because Lincoln laid on it. Lincoln was too tall for it. You can see the lump of Lincoln on there, and you can see blood. It's because somebody who has a supposed value was on it, right? Because somebody who had a supposed value was on it, that is valuable. That's their lump. There's people who are famous that you go visit their homes and stuff like that. They go, oh man, that dent right there, that's because so-and-so made that dent. You say, really? Cool. Someone, you go to so-and-so's house from the 1800s. Oh yeah, the master at the house, he got upset and he broke it in half, and it's just stayed there ever since. Oh wow, cool. Because somebody had. See, you got to recognize, it's not what's on the outside. It's not the Gucci that makes it the purse. Like I said, who cares if you bought a Gucci purse with 500 gold bars? Why not just have a $20 purse with 500 gold bars in it? Which one is more valuable? Whatever's inside makes the outside more valuable. Right? Whatever's inside makes the outside more valuable. That's why they have a saying, beauty is only skin deep. A lot of people will tell you, you can meet the most beautiful of women, you can meet the most handsome of men, get to talk to them for a few seconds, and you'll never want to be around them again. Now, some of you are about beauty so much that you'll have a terrible evening to try and hope that you can lay down with this person at some point and give a bunch of money away to somebody you can't stand. But because somebody will look at you and say, you got that? You bagged that? But you can be the most handsome person. You can be the most beautiful person, and still, I'd rather not. Because you ugly on the inside. I don't want to be around ugly like that. Vanity, right? You empty on the inside. What is on the inside of us? We got to reverse the bag. As we get ready to take our leave, our time is pretty much up. As we get ready to take our leave, just realize we got to reverse the bag. We don't have to do the same old. We don't have to be in the same position. We don't have to keep giving honor to stuff that's not honorable. We don't have to keep trying to lose sleep, trying to obtain favor that is not favorable for you anyways. We don't have to try to wear the clothing that that the people who make it don't even care about us. We don't have to wear the shoes to make sure that we can't afford anymore. Like you can if you want, but you have the right to be free. Right? I wear the my slides and my sandals and stuff that I wear. I wear the Air Moseses for a reason. They're comfortable for me, number one. I'm just giving it a buck. They don't cost that much, number two, to be honest. But also number three, because it helps me recall where I'm from. Right? It helps me to recall where I'm from. right? It helps me to recall Israel. It helps me to recall that I don't really need anything but something on the bottom of my foot. It helps me even recall that, like, I don't know, there's different things I won't get into because of time. But I'm just saying, why not wear you? And why not wear you well? Right? This suit that I have on is nothing more than clothing for what's on the inside. Everything about the suit that you see on the outside, everything that you see about the skin, the longest organ, the biggest organ I have, is to house who I really am on the inside and to house the kingdom of heaven. So the reason why so anything that I put on this suit, or anything that this suit is put on, has to be something worthy of representing what's on the inside. That's why we dress the way we do, brothers. That's why we dress the way we do, sisters. Not because I'm trying to tell you how to dress as a woman. We dress the way we do because there's something on the inside. Not because I'm trying to say you ain't a grown man and you can wear whatever. There's something on the inside that you represent. You got to reverse the bag. Stop thinking that the Gucci is on the outside. You need to be Gucci on the inside. Stop thinking it's Versace on the outside. You need to be Versace on the inside. Stop thinking it's Israel just on the outside. You got to be Israel on the inside, because not all Israel is Israel. Stop thinking that you graft into the tree on the outside when the branches that we're looking for should be attached to what's rooted on the inside. The heart is the soil anyways. What's rooted in here? What's growing in here? What's the nutrients in here? What's watering in here? We got to reverse the bag. I'm out. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and take our leave. We're going to do our shout out on TikTok. If you've never done a shout out before with us on TikTok, you can go ahead and shoot over there real quick. We thank everybody for being on once again, and we appreciate you so very, very much. We honor you. We honor your presence, and thank you again for spending some time with us. We really, really do appreciate you, and hopefully you'll join us in future times to come. And hopefully you enjoyed today. We will, as a reminder, our makeup Passover will be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time on the original Kofi _40 channel on TikTok, or if you just want to join us on YouTube again tomorrow, you can feel free to be able to do so tomorrow. Okay, so if you would like to join us, feel free to do so. That'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern New York time, our regular evening live session, or evening time for our live sessions. We thank Minister Tamara again for our early rise Bible study session. Excellent work, and thank you for stepping in for me. I appreciate you stepping in for me, even making sure that dismissal and all that stuff is taken care of. We very, very much so appreciate you all, and we thank you again for being on. So just if you can recall for tomorrow, that'll be very important that we're on tomorrow. We'll be doing our makeup Passover, and it'll be a regular live session, but we'll make sure that we focus in on the Passover. If you need to figure out what to eat, what you can't have, all that stuff, please, ma'am, please, sir, just look on YouTube, look on a lot of platforms, just do a little bit of scrolling. You'll find that we posted a lot of information. So if you still need to figure out what you're trying to do, if you're trying to make it, and even if you have had Passover, if you still want to be part of our celebration and part of the live session tomorrow evening, feel free to be able to do so. Okay, but I thank you all. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and take my leave. And we appreciate you guys so very, very much for being on. So if you're on TikTok, we're going to do our shout out. If you've never done a shout out with us before, just hold on for a second right after dismissal. You'll see how that works, and it's a way for you to get more information on things that we do around the world, as well as maybe we being able to support you in some way, shape, or form. So just hold on for a second. But to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, we appreciate you once again. And we hope that you guys have a great day. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Amma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Thank you, fam. Appreciate you. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully, wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be others. All right, shalom, family, peace, take care. And for those of you who are still on with us on TikTok, this is how the shout out works.